Podcast, a platform created to entertain, educate, and evolve the modern-day deer hunter. Hey everybody, and thank you for tuning in to our first episode of the new year. At the end of this episode, we're going to announce the winner of the Dan Infalt Scouting Workshop giveaway. And right now, I'm going to announce the winner of the Plythal Prima Light hoodie giveaway. And that winner is Mr. Greg Tubbs. So Greg, when you hear this, get in contact with me via social media, and we will get that sent out to you. And like I said, listen to the end. If you participated in the digital deer camp this year and you entered into the Dan Infalt workshop giveaway, we're going to draw that name at the end of this episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Started right out, cutting the audio out. We've had some audio problems. I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to listen to the Dan Infalt episode, but I don't know what's going on. But when I record, when I'm doing an over-the-phone thing,
Oh, the volume.
my volume
I hear it.
goes up
Yep.
and down, and it doesn't show it when I'm recording the audio. It shows it normal, and I hear myself normal. But when, for whatever reason, when it processes the audio, it must have something to do with when it's running at the same time as the other application that records the call through Skype. It fucks the audio up. It's driving me crazy.
Your computer might not.
It was the first dozen that I did.
I don't think I'm even on there.
Yeah, you are.
Am I on there? Yeah, I'm on there.
Yeah. There's me.
Move your microphone in a little bit.
I'm second from the bottom. Look at me go.
Hi.
We got this stuff figured out now.
All right.
Drew, what channel are you on?
I'm 2. Now I see it.
You're softly spoken.
You are. I'm sorry.
These mics are pretty directional. I like to give them right in your face.
Could mine be more of tan flesh? Do you have a flesh foam? Just Mike just slaps you in the face randomly every once in a while. I feel intimidated by the color of this one.
That's when we have problems. I've been doing something on here too that I'm gonna try. If we have an issue tonight, I'm gonna try something different. I do promise people I am kind of working on cleaning up the audio stuff. Man, I haven't had time to do shit. Everything in my life is I used to be like super thorough on everything, and now I feel like everything's loose ends, man.
Hey, don't talk to me about being busy, all right?
He's kind of been out of shape about that one.
Yeah, I really hurt his feelings, I think.
Well, he's been hearing it for years.
If I had feathers, they'd be highly ruffled.
Dude, I was busy. I kept myself busy before I had kids. It's just, you stay busy. It's just different stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's more of what you want to do on a daily basis. It's the big difference. It does make sense when you brought it up like that.
Right.
Well, how many trucks do you own?
3.
How many boats do you own?
2.
How many motorcycles do you own?
3.
Oh, jeez.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, all paid for.
I paid $14,600 in childcare this year.
Jesus.
I've got a very expensive diaper habit right now. Yeah.
Diaper
about
habit?
hunting?
Like
Yeah.
smelling them?
Yeah. Too many of them.
Diaper
Change them all the
habit.
time. Yeah. Expensive.
As long as you're not
Habit of buying diapers all the time.
I have a habit. I actually, or an addiction.
diapers
No,
or wearing vice.
like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's diaper time, the diaper guy. Caveman coffee.
Oh yeah.
That literally is like an addiction.
Yeah.
It's an expensive one. It's like a problem.
That's
it's like
why I
I'd be
haven't had
better
it.
off if I never bought this shit.
Yeah, I
Dude.
agree. Yeah, we ran out. I was gonna get on the website. I was like, oh, Jody.
It's like $20, and then you get 10% off if you use the promo code Deer
Yeah.
Hunter. It's like a nice thing to do every now and then, like around Christmas time when we had some people over. You know, it's nice to make like a premium
yeah,
pot of coffee. But no, you can't like afford. I mean,
like your weekly supply.
right? Yeah, it'd be tough to do. You could cut it.
Ooh,
Cut it.
Could you know?
You could cut it with some.
Bring that Maxwell Haas over here.
Cut it, not shitting it.
I forgot you hate that stuff.
Oh god.
Oh, it's the
That is
worst.
bad coffee when
Hey.
you go back to it.
It's
I'll
what's
drink
in
whatever
there?
I have to sometimes.
Coffee's not that color. Like when you open a can of Folgers or
Yeah.
Maxwell House, and then you open like ground coffee, they're distinctly different. There's like some other shit in there.
That stuff's cut
Dirt.
too, man.
Yeah, it is cut with like cardboard, I think, or something.
It's a good filler.
Dude, I think when they recruit foremen for construction job sites, like, all right, you look good here, you check out here. Where do you stay on a Maxwell House? Because that's all you'll be giving your guys. You will get them to hate you within 3 days if you want this job.
I don't mind cheap coffee. I just don't like shitty coffee. Like, it's pretty hard for me to walk into a random gas station nowadays and get a cup of coffee that I'm like happy with. But like Tim Hortons is a cheap cup of coffee, and that's
Yeah.
really good.
Timmy's ain't bad.
I like
There's
my.
good.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just going to complain about coffee by my house again. I still go. It's the only gas station off Wadhams.
Oh, that place sucks.
I'll go there and I
Coffee's the
complain.
worst.
I complain to the guy at the register every time. I said, "This is the worst coffee I ever get. You're gonna change it?" He's like, "Oh, maybe." Da da da. You know, I have to pour like a ton of cream and sugar into it just to stomach it.
I think it's their water.
You know, he's
it's
dropped.
horrible.
You know,
But
Yeah, it's probably
water.
well water. up
water.
there. That's
Yeah.
what's going
Oh,
on.
it's
I don't think
well
so.
water and it's
Hard
bad
water.
well water.
No, I think it's just bad coffee.
You know, every time you complain, it just drops more belly hairs into the pot.
Probably
He sees you
does.
pull in.
Yeah, but I still go up there. I'm bringing my coffee up and I'm complaining every time.
Why don't you
Yeah,
make
he's
coffee
like,
at
oh,
home?
I do when but if I'm running late or
Yeah.
something. But actually,
Yeah.
since when I got laid off, I stopped drinking coffee and I'll drink like hot cocoa now.
Ooh.
I'm totally off of coffee.
That's cute.
Really?
Yeah, I like
Hmm.
a hot cocoa.
I don't.
I-
Well, you know what? When we were up north a couple weeks ago, when it was super cold, we were getting up in the morning, and I was making coffee, and my mom bought these little packets of it's hot chocolate, but it's white. You know, like white hot chocolate.
Oh yeah.
White chocolate, hot chocolate.
Yeah. And I would sprinkle a little bit of that in my coffee. That's really good.
Hmm.
Really good. But I couldn't sit there and drink a whole cup of hot chocolate, I don't think, and enjoy it.
I was kind of proud of myself for getting off of caffeine like that because I would get headaches if I didn't have coffee. You know, if I didn't have coffee during the day.
Yeah.
Well, how many times did you get up to an alarm clock while you were laid off?
Never.
There you go.
Yeah, but I did today. Wasn't bad.
So you're
A little
back to work.
groggy. Yeah, back to work.
Bummer.
Yeah,
Hey, well, hunting
okay.
season's
No,
over,
it's
so
nice
it's
to have a.
perfect.
Would you have a
Right.
month off?
it's like 6 weeks.
Dude, that's a perfect layoff.
Over
6
the
weeks to
holiday.
2 months.
Yeah, spend a lot of time with my family. My kids like me a lot again.
I think the
Nice.
perfect layoff would be like November 15th till like just after the New Year's. That'd be really nice.
June 1st.
It was
January
supposed to swing.
1st.
It was supposed to be like that on the job I was at. It was supposed to be done November 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Then it didn't.
Didn't work out that way.
No. They might have got a little mad at me because I still took off that week. You know, I said, well, I was supposed to be off, and I've had this plan for a year. I'm taking this week off.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Some
Employers want you to be there, punching that clock, boy.
Stinkers.
These guys down the street here building the house, they were out here just until a half an hour. Right before you guys showed up, they were out there with rat walls in and stuff. I don't know if they broke a water line today or what they were doing, but 7:30 they were in the dark and it's pissing down rain and they were out there running an excavator and
Cripes.
yeah, just thinking, America,
America.
punch that clock, get to work, make me that money, boy.
I haven't been home yet today. I worked all
That's
day.
horrible.
Yeah. I got home, shoved some food down my face, and came out here.
I made it home for an hour and then drove backtracked down here.
I think I'm defrosted from last Friday.
Yeah, you worked outside in that shit.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had a bunch of frozen
great
water
time.
lines.
I was tinkering with quarter 20 hardware, mounting rigid inside columns.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
a good time. My buddy froze his sinuses. He actually got damage.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Froze his inside of his body froze.
Yeah, like, he got, like, his nose has been sore. I think he's going to ENT doctor.
What's
Next
that?
Ear,
nose, and throat.
Oh,
Yeah, his nose is all sore and irritated, and it just feels like he's got, like a brain freeze constantly, like, up in his forehead.
Oh, gosh.
sinuses froze.
He's doing a little research online, and all the symptoms checked
Frostbite?
out. I don't know.
Up
Might
in
be
his
some
nasal
kinda-
cavity?
That's what it sounded like, the way he's describing it.
Oh,
It was
never heard of
effing.
that before.
That sounds terrible.
It was effing
I could
cold.
imagine it though. I mean, every ounce of like water in your eyes and moisture
Was
around
freezing up.
your
yeah.
mouth and nose, everything just freezes like a brick.
The weird thing was he was wearing like a fleece, like a neck gaiter up over his mouth. Like I didn't have anything on my face at all,
Mm-hmm.
and I was fine. But I wonder if just having that
Could it be weak
Mm.
genetics?
could be.
Weak. You are just not as strong bred as I am.
The cold will definitely filter some folks out.
Yeah, it
I
was
can.
4 below, and it was a good one.
I was worried about getting frostbite when we were
Dude.
hunting up north and it was -18.
You guys are a little crazy for that one.
Like it hurt. Any bare skin hurt. Just hurt. I had my, I can't ever remember. Bacava. How are they?
Just
how's
the
it
face
pronounced?
mask.
Balaclava.
Balaclava.
American face mask
American face mask.
Yeah. Well,
Why,
whatever it is.
versus what? The German face mask?
I
or
don't know.
something not American sounding.
I always
like
want to say
its name.
baklava, but that's
Oh,
like
yeah,
a nice
I get it.
delicacy.
German face mask just sounds dirty for some reason.
Is that on
Get rid of
Urban
German
Dictionary?
face. Get rid of German face mask.
Sounds like dirty.
Everything sounds dirty when you say it, Kevin. I don't know.
It sounds like you try robbing a bank with a dirty pair of undies over your face.
But I had my
Oh.
hat like pulled down, just like over my eyebrows,
Yeah.
and then the
That all
face
the way
mask up over my nose, so I just had like this little like half-inch slit you're looking through, because it was just so cold. It was bitter cold.
Yeah, you guys were dancing with the devil on that one.
Yeah, it was an experience.
I'm trying to remember what day I went out. It was last week, Wednesday or
Yeah.
something like that. I went out and I bought those little heat packs.
Yeah, I had those too.
And I stuck them. I got the ones for your feet, so I stuck them on top of my toes, and I wore my merino wool socks, and I doubled up on all my long johns. I didn't even have any smart wool yet at that time. I went out and I was pretty comfortable all day. It was a little bit warmer, but I swear at the end of the night, it was like a New Year's Eve countdown to end of shooting time.
Yeah.
I was like, I could not wait to get out. I didn't wait a minute longer.
Yeah, well, I missed. I had a chance at a doe that morning,
Nice.
but
What range?
it was at, when I drew back on it, it was at probably about like 18 yards. But because it was so cold out, I had that Plythal puffy jacket on,
Mm-hmm.
and in sub 18, -18, it literally sounded like I was rolled up in like a blue tarp out there.
Really?
It was so loud.
Oh, man.
So trying to draw back on a deer, when there's no wind.
Did it
and-
jumper?
Yeah, the deer. I drew back. The deer took off.
Well, I think it's good to
Zzz.
preface that with how the deer were acting even before. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, they came
skittish?
in just looking up at the deer were just on high alert.
because
It was so
every deer
calm.
that I saw too, they were on pins and needles. I don't know if
Really?
maybe they're stressed because of the cold, or if because of the cold they had to be on their feet and they didn't want to. I mean, we're talking broad daylight.
Yeah.
Or
But
maybe they had a break for a while on the hunting pressure, and they finally got a little bit of pressure there again. The scent was.
Dude, there was no.
They weren't used
there
to
was
it?
not.
We
a,
were the only
Yeah.
people in the
Well, I'm
woods
just thinking
that
that if
morning.
their scent was in the woods then, and they weren't used to smelling it, maybe it made them a little
yeah,
bit more edgy.
it's possible. I mean,
I don't know. It's crazy though.
I wonder how well their noses work when it's that cold out.
Their nasals are probably frozen.
I think that they have problems. I think that they don't
I would
smell
think
as good
so.
when it's that cold.
So
I've
maybe
heard
that's
that.
why they were walking around, looking around, because they couldn't actually smell anything.
I cannot believe something would survive living in that type of
It
condition.
was weird. Their hair all puffs out. Like they look like big fuzzballs walking around.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
How
it's-
does that?
Yeah,
How
all
did
the
they
hair on their
survive?
face, their ears, everything, their hair, all the deer that I saw, and I asked him. I think I asked you, or you asked me. You're like, did the deer look? And
Funny.
They look
Yeah.
like big hamsters walking around.
Really?
yeah, they puffed their hair was straight up.
Yeah, they create more.
Air space
air
around the
space.
body.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. They looked so strange.
But I drew back on the deer, and it obviously heard me because of the sound the coat made. And the deer ran, got to about, I guessed 30 yards. Well, it was more like 35. Because when I shot, I just went right under the armpit. And
Do you think
clean
that?
miss, but
is-
I shaved hair off of it, but no
So
blood or
close.
anything. Yeah.
Do you think it's because that it was how cold it was noisier, or just maybe how quiet it was out there at that polyester?
It was definitely because it was so cold out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, anything with like any percentage of plastic in
Yeah.
the material build got rigid.
really.
Yeah.
But and
So mental note, you wouldn't wear that again.
I wouldn't have been out there if I didn't have it on.
Hmm.
I mean, that jacket
There's
was
no way
a
around that.
lifesaver out there. It's just,
But it kind of ruined your chance at a doe.
it did kind of ruin my chance at a doe, but it
You
was
got to enjoy yourself.
negative 18, and
Well,
I wasn't dead, so that was
there's-
nice.
There's two different. Well, so one, and I think that the Prima-Lite hoodie is probably.
Do that again. That was kind of exciting.
Drew went underwater.
Oh, did you go down the wrong
Don't
pipe?
make him laugh. He's about to spray me. It's like
Yeah, I heard it. Blub, 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 blub.
Yeah.
Sounded like a
he
little
went to
bubble
total
gut.
fish
Yeah.
mode.
Will
Yeah.
make you feel like you were in our mouth.
The shell on these jackets is, you know,
Polyester.
yeah,
Does
polyester.
it say on the tag
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
exactly what
it's
kind
all
of blend?
polyester, but I mean, so is my full rut coat. But my full, well, I guess that has a brushed fleece
Yeah.
line or shell on it. So if you were gonna wear this as your outer layer when it's real cold,
Put it as your maybe inner layer, second to outer layer.
Right.
I had the same thing on. I had this on, but I had a jacket over it.
No noise.
No noise. Not an issue.
Because it was warmer in the jacket.
I've been
Yeah.
doing that.
Right. So you can still wear it, just maybe not wear it as your
So
outer
like,
layer.
if
Yeah.
he had
I am
He-
unprepared for that temperature to
Who's-
where I had to borrow his coat.
That's ridiculous to be out in that stuff, anyways.
yeah,
Just-
if you had that jacket.
unless you're hunting polar bears.
So if it was like extreme cold, like it was 16 below zero when we walked out without the wind chill, with the wind chill it was in under 20 below.
I have no idea.
So if you had that jacket on, you'd want to have like that full rut jacket or some type of quiet jacket over that.
The jacket I tried to quiet it down with was an old scent blocker, like Drury Dream Season jacket that I bought like 11 years ago. And the puffy jacket material rubbing against that carbon, like scent blocker, that black
Oh.
carbon, it was so loud. I didn't stand a chance. But if you would have had like the full rut jacket or something, you would have been better off.
Were you
Good
wearing
shit.
the heavy puffy that I was wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing.
Dude, I was toasty warm
That
in
jacket's
that thing.
phenomenal for keeping you warm.
Yeah, it was nice.
But it's noisy.
Yeah,
It's not ideal for bow hunting.
No, but muzzle, like if I was out there with a muzzle loader, it would have been no problem.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's gun blind material or for
Or in a
shooting
tree stand,
something
anything
150
you can
yards
reach
away.
out. Because if
Right.
you jump it a little bit, it's still probably going to run and stop and no problem
I
blast
think
it.
honestly, even with a crossbow, I could have shot that deer. It's just that action of having to pull your arm across your body is just so much, as opposed to like if you had a crossbow and you could just ease that thing up.
Yeah.
Pew, pew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Crossbow.
Yeah, hunting when it's that cold is crazy. So I had the same thing. I had a younger doe coming in 20 yards, and I'm like sweet, this is gonna happen, you know, chip shot, and I'm kind of getting squared up and ready. I have my bow up, and to my knowledge, the deer has no idea that I'm there, right? The second that I started to put tension on my string to draw my bow, my entire bow, like,
Ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That sounded like a tin can falling down the stairs.
just like everything was just, molecules were frozen, man.
Wow.
Yep. And the second I tried to pull that bow back, that bow's never made a single noise anytime I've ever pulled it back. And it was just like, that deer went from 20 yards to 60 yards.
Sounded
Really?
like my knees in the morning when I get out of bed.
Just like that.
Cracking.
Sound like you're opening a 100-year-old farmhouse bedroom door.
Pretty much. But that deer ran out, well, it ran to 40 yards, and it was in some thick pines. And I'm watching it, and the way that it's walking, I'm like, oh, it's going to go through this two little openings that I have. So I stand up, and I draw the bow, and I have to turn to my opposite side.
Did it make noise the second time you drew, or is it broken in kind of at that point?
At that point, I wasn't really paying attention because I was making noise. I stood up in the tree stand and spun. There was a lot going on. But I have a adjustable HHA,
Mm-hmm.
and my farthest dash on it that I have it set up for is 55. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be 50, 55 where it's going to cross. So that's where I put it. Drew the bow. I'm holding, and it walks through into the one opening, and I'm like, meh. It doesn't stop. Goes through some other stuff, hits the other opening, and now it's even just a little bit farther. It's like quartering away from me as it's walking. I'm like, meh. Thing stops. I'm just like, tink. Just send this arrow, dude. Just going through the snowy trees, and it's got like chartreuse fletchings. And so this thing just, it looks like it's basically lit up going through the woods.
Trace around.
And I never shot an arrow through the timber that distance, and it was awesome to watch it fly, man. I'm watching it, and the wind is just perfect. This thing's going and going and going. I'm like, no shit. I'm going to pinwheel this thing. And then all of a sudden it just starts going.
Ran out of gas.
It ran right out of gas, man.
Oh, man.
There we go. Now, we had a touch of an audio issue, but I did something a little differently this time. We're going to see if it doesn't cause problems. So, yeah, man. God, it's such a fun thing to say, but it's been so trendy and popular. I hate to even use it, but I just sent it. And that deer was easy 65 yards, 60 yards.
Wow.
But man, that arrow flew straight. And if I'd had a rangefinder, maybe, but like he said, he goes, dude, it wouldn't have turned on.
Right, yeah.
I was having problems with my rangefinder too.
Yeah. So the deer ran away. I looked for the arrow after we got done hunting. But hey, are we straight? Can you
Think
handle
so.
your job? You got one job, computer, record our audio. You might be switching this whole.
I think it's the old laptop, man. I think
Yeah.
that thing's got to go.
Come on.
That
I
thing is.
kind of like it. Little black dots.
It could be the laptop.
It's got to be. You're asking it to do too much for how old it is.
Yeah. You think so?
Just recording people
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah. This GarageBand program does pull a lot of juice.
doesn't?
It really does. Yeah, it could be. We'll see. I got that Big Mac in the house. Maybe next time. Big Mac.
That sounds good. I don't know why.
Got the desk.
Definitely-
I got the desktop in the house. Maybe next time I'll bring the desktop out here and see how that does.
That's an idea.
It's not like it's that much harder to carry that thing around than it is this thing. But yeah, so anyways, it was sweet. I was excited. I was like, it's probably my only opportunity, you know. But up till that point, I was super comfortable. So I guess I would say I sat for an hour when we got out there. We sat down at 7:30. That's
Yeah.
right when
It was
Dave.
just after daybreak.
Yeah.
It was like you could walk out. There's no way you could shoot, but you didn't need your headlamp to see where you were going.
Yeah, with all that snow down.
Because we were talking about it the night before. It's like, oh, should we get out like an hour before our dark or first light? It's like,
Oh, yeah,
well,
right.
No, we
You'll
shouldn't.
never make it.
We should
Yeah,
sit
I
here
mean,
and drink
wanted
coffee
to.
until the absolute last possible minute and then go.
Just carry a will on you.
Yeah.
It's good.
It was fun though. I saw 5 deer that morning.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
shit.
That's good.
saw 4 deer. The one I shot at. So I was saying is I sat for an hour, and with having a hat on and then a neck warmer, everything pulled over my ears, and with all the snow in the trees, it was dead still. My thought process was I cannot literally move a muscle because there could be a deer 5 yards away from me behind me. I'm never going to see it until it's in my, view. And so I was sitting very still, and after an hour, my butt started getting sore. I need to move around a little bit. So I went to move. My ass was frozen to the seat. My right hand was frozen to my bow.
Oh,
That happened to me
And
too.
my left hand, the release, was frozen in my mitten. I had to peel everything apart. Took 2 hands, pull everything apart and shit.
I
And I was
let
just like,
I let go of the riser of my bow because I had my bow across my lap. I just let go of it because I had those little heat packs you can buy, the instant heat packs. I had them in the end of my mittens,
yeah.
and I was just going to move them around on my fingers a little bit. And when I went to open my hand on the bow, my glove just stayed completely frozen solid to the handle of my riser.
Dude.
you know how like when you open your freezer, how like the thin pieces of metal on it have like a frost on it that look like extra cold.
Yeah.
That's what the outside of all my gear looked like.
Yeah.
Like dry ice on
Dude.
there or something. It was
Well,
freaking
I remember
wicked.
I was setting up my tree stand last Wednesday when I was hunting, and every time when I was climbing up, if my head touched the base of that tree stand, that lone wolf, it froze to it every single time too. It was like orange fuzz all over that thing. It was just peeling off of my hat.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, my hand was freezing the receiver of my rifle. I was sitting up on the stand New Year's Eve, and it wasn't even nowhere near as cold as you guys.
Right. The after that hour, I pulled all that stuff apart, and then it was like 15 minutes later, actually, when that deer came in and that whole ordeal happened. So I went to get another arrow out, and I couldn't get an arrow out of my quiver. The plastic, the rubber,
Oh,
was just
too hard.
too hard. So I had to friggin' get another hand out, hold on to the quiver, yank arrow out of there. It was like pop, like when it came out of there. I'm like, God. But I knocked that arrow, and like 20 or 30 minutes later, I look over my left shoulder, and comes two does coming in. And I'm like, oh, awesome! They're coming right. They're gonna cut right out in front of me, and they got to about 45 yards, and they just stopped, and they're just held up. And I didn't think they got my win, but I don't know, man. They were just like looking around. So I'm like, I don't think they're going to come any farther. So I adjust my pin to 45 yards. And they're just, like, got a bead, like, looking straight over towards me, I'm like, the second that they aren't, like, staring over in this direction, I'm just going to take one. And they turned on a dime and just trotted off right back. And I was like, son of a bitch. And then, probably like an hour and a half later, I was finally starting to get cold, where I was like, all right. And I had this conscious thought in my head, I'm getting fidgety. Like, I wasn't like so uncomfortable that I wanted to come in yet, but I was getting to a point where I was starting to like shuffle around and move around and just get a little anxious because I was getting cold.
Your core's dropping.
And I hadn't moved in forever. The second I move, I look over, boom, whitetail. There was a doe 7 yards coming in right behind me. If I hadn't moved, like literally 1 minute, that deer would have walked straight out in front of me.
You
It would have
pinned
been
her to the ground.
maybe, or maybe I would have drew my bow. I would have made a bunch of noise, and that deer would have been in the next county.
If only
But-
that Sega was open to firearm for late season.
Yeah, if it was a late season muzzleloader hunt, we would have killed a couple deer. But archery hunting in sub-zero temperatures has a special set of challenges that are pretty hard to beat. Like he said, he's like, I could see why a crossbow could potentially be an investment at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
the
like buying a gun, a bow gun.
Right.
I don't think the recurve would have handled any of that.
The limbs probably would have just
It probably would've
shattered.
Well, you're up in the trees too. I noticed when I was sitting out there that trees it sounded like they're exploding.
Yes.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
pop, pop. And I actually at one point I was sitting in the tree and my tree did that once. I got so nervous I unhooked my lanyard from the tree because I didn't want my tree to fall down and bring me with it. I wanted to be able to somehow.
Jump.
I have a
Jump.
picture in my head that I go to the other side of the tree and just run down it as it's falling down, and I jump on my feet. You know, just
Or
throwing-
right before it hits the ground, you jump real high.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was freaked out. So I wear my lanyard every time. I'm always tied to the tree, but I thought it was way safer unhooked from the tree.
Yeah, that
for
was
some
crazy.
reason.
I was the first couple times it happened. I was like, "What is going on?" You know, I thought it was an elk coming in because you just hear this loud
Yeah,
crack.
like explosion, like pop,
Right.
pop,
That's what I thought it was, too, elk coming in. And it must be the water.
expanding in the tree.
Yes. It was like
shook
the
my
first,
tree.
Yeah. Boom. I'm like, what
Almost
the
like when you're
hell?
on the ice fishing, and you hear that, and it
Exactly.
sounds like somebody's hitting a high
That's
tension
exactly
cable.
what it sounded like. And I asked him when I came in, I'm like, were the trees like being
Talking to you?
Dude, my woods
Help us!
all around my house, they've just been cracking like that. I'll go let Winnie out outside. And just crack, 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 crack. It just sounds like trees constantly on their way down after being logged.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's what it's got to be, the water inside the trees freezing solid and expanding. And
Right.
It's
Fracturing inside the tree or something.
Yeah, it's
Fracturing
crazy.
the
It is.
flesh of the tree.
that 30 below winter was horrifying. It was loud. I was hearing them in the house.
Yeah,
Just
I'd
cracking
never
out there.
experienced that before. That's what I figured it was, though, and everybody heard the same thing, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was freaky.
If I was a deer, I would have been looking for hunters. Like, just committing suicide.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
It's brutal out there, but I don't know why. For some reason, it's still one of my favorite times to be out in the woods.
I
it was,
loved it, dude.
It was awesome sitting out there
I like early season and
until
I,
I
like late
had to
season.
move and
I don't know.
like when I shot at that deer and I had to open up my glove. You know, I had merino liners inside my mitts.
What kind of liners are you using?
Oh, they're just some Sitka
ones?
merino, yeah. And I was fine until I did that, and then as soon as my fingers got cold, I could not get them warm again.
Yeah.
You were done.
Well, I mean, I sat out for probably another little over an hour, but just not as comfy. Like before when I was all sealed up, you know, where you got all the heat from walking out and climbing up your tree and everything. But as soon as you lost any of that heat, you could not gain it back.
Yeah.
It was the same thing for me. I sat for that, I don't know, hour or hour and a half until I saw that first deer, and I was like above and beyond comfortable. Super comfortable. But then I had like gloves on, and then I had the mittens on that fold over your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And when I opened the mittens up to shoot that deer, after I put the mittens back on, I could not recover
Yeah.
the heat loss in my fingers. It took me a while of like messing around and playing around. He gave me a couple of those little charcoal warmers
Uh-huh.
that I don't know what the hell, if they were maybe old or what, but
They're
I
brand
couldn't
new.
keep mine warm that day, and it was
they wouldn't heat up.
I was kind of surprised because the ones I had put on my toes, I could notice my feet weren't that cold, but I could never even feel the heat in my boots. But when I got home in the house and I took my boots off or whatever, they were hot. You
Yeah.
know, you just couldn't tell. It was so
He
cold out there.
gave me a set of the little toe ones too,
yeah,
and
the
I
sticker.
Yep,
Yeah.
the sticker that doesn't stick to anything.
Yeah, they're not that good. I got mine to stick, but they're not great. They're
Yeah,
good on
well-
a sock or something like that.
My boots are perfect. I got these are brand new 1600 Alpha Burleys, and they're like 2 sizes too big.
Lacrosse?
And I have the Smart Wool heavy socks, and I sat in 16 below for 3.5 hours, and my feet never got cold.
I just got those thick Smart Wool socks too, so I'm looking forward to
Things
it.
are awesome. But
They've
you
been
gotta
awesome.
have airspace.
Yeah.
You gotta have airspace. If your boot is tight, I don't care how expensive your boot is or what it's made out of. If you don't have airspace in between your socks and your boot,
You got that contact where it transfers that
yes,
heat out.
exactly.
Air is the best insulator.
Yeah. Those old Mickey boots. That's why they're awesome.
Yeah. I buy my boots all 2 sizes too big. And same
2
with-
sizes.
That's
my
what
hunting
mine
Oh, like
are.
a
boots,
half
yeah.
and another.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
well, yeah, I guess technically a full size
One full
too
size.
big.
Yeah.
Right. That's the same thing for me. That's what I do with my, my late season boot. My early season boots, obviously, that's not an issue. I like those a little tighter. But my late season boots, it just has to be that way, or you
Yeah.
can't keep your feet warm.
Yeah, these new boots I got are a little bit tighter than my old ones, my Lacrosses. And my Lacrosses I didn't like when they were flopping around, just feeling sloppy, but they probably wasn't better that way.
I bought a pair of those muck boots, the Arctic ones, this
Mhm.
year. I bought them actually in November because I put a hole in my Rocky knee boots. Those things already look like they're 10 years old. Because
The
they had
neoprene
that
don't
camo,
hold
they
up.
had that camo, like photo camo finish on them. And I just wore it right off of there in like a month and a half. It's ridiculous.
I think you've seen mine. You commented on them. They did the same thing.
Yeah.
I actually emailed Muck Boot about it, and I said, "Hey, I'm not complaining. I just want to let you know. I told them I appreciate because they were great for warranty. Dealing with them, people, they were great, and I wouldn't mind dealing with them again either. I bought a boot. I wore them out scouting. They were the Arctic Pros. I wore them out scouting to Ohio once, and I shredded them up. I said I was a little disappointed. I thought they'd hold up a little bit better, but I said other than that, they're very comfortable. They said, well, we have a weird guarantee, and I said, yeah, it was really kind of my fault. I'm not sure, and they're like, well, we got a guarantee on them. We're going to send you a new pair. Just give me your dress.
I'm happy with how comfy the boots are and how
Right.
warm they kept me and dry, obviously. But my only advice to people would be don't spring the extra, whatever it is, $15-20 for the camo ones because
Just
it's
get a
not
plain
going to
color.
last anyways.
Mine did the
Yeah.
same thing, and they said it depends on your usage. I'm like, well, how do you define your usage?
Right.
Everybody's like,
Pouring concrete.
we don't know how.
Right.
I just hunt mine. They stay in a sealed box if I'm not hunting.
It's a lot different than getting off electric buggy and walking upstairs into a box blind than
Walking half a
throwing a
mile
lone
in the
wolf on
cedar
your back
swamp.
and walking a half a mile through a cedar swamp.
That's
God
true.
forbid you put your muck boot in a little muck, though.
Oh man.
Oh.
I like the
Very
Alpha
good.
Burleys a whole lot. I'm not a bad thing to say about these boots. I bought these mid-November. The first time I wore them, I got back to the truck and I was like, I'd be amazed if these boots don't leak after what I just put them through on the first little excursion, because I went through some nasty shit and I was plowing through it, falling down and this and that. I'm like, man, these things can really take an ass whooping.
Right.
These things are pretty durable. They have like a harder I don't know.
Rubber.
Yeah, it's a rubber versus a.
I'd recommend that to anybody is going with an all rubber boot because the neoprene just branches will puncture them. There's deadfall and stuff and branches that goes right through them and then boom, they're not waterproof there.
Yeah.
Well, the Briars in Ohio
Tear them
up.
oh
man.
horribly.
I have one of those Permalite hoodies, and I put a big rip in it already just from last weekend when we were down in Ohio hunting.
What's with all the pickers in Ohio? I don't know. It's crazy. It's
I got though if you go on Amazon, I'm sure you can get it other places. There's a company called I don't know what the company's called. They make Tenacious tape. It's like and it's super clear, and it's like this really sticky, highly flexible tape. It's made for patching like tents and stuff.
Mhm.
And I put that on that jacket. I mean, you can't even hardly tell.
Really.
Yeah.
Nice.
Try that out. Well, I'm thinking next time I go to, I was going to go back to lacrosse, the next
Mhm.
boots I buy, and maybe not even worry about camo. Just buy a pair of their green
Right. Yeah,
lacrosse
that's what
rubber boots.
Yeah. As
I
long as
love
they
the
fit your
muck-
feet good.
I love the muck boots, and they have the
All
ones I
rubber
got
ones,
had
too.
Vibram soles.
Yeah.
And they put felt pads. They're built into the sole. So like when I went ice fishing last weekend, dude, you get on that bare ice, it's not slippery at all, man.
All
They
right.
just stick tack down.
Oh,
No
that's
way.
cool.
Yeah. It's like wearing felt waders when you're out fishing if it's got a rocky bottom on the stream you're in.
Yeah.
Felt just clings to everything.
Interesting. My boots do not have that.
I
No
was
way.
surprised.
And those muck boots you said? Or?
Yeah.
Like in the arch or in the?
It's in
No,
the
no,
whole
the
bottom of the
tread
boot
pattern
has
kinda.
yeah, it's got little squares of it built right into the
No
sole of
shit.
the boot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Was gonna say on top of my feet, like my layering system is just like flawless now. I could sit in 20 below for,
10 more minutes.
I mean, I could sit for 4 hours if I had to.
God.
I'm really
The
looking
last
forward to it.
the last half an hour will be pretty uncomfortable. But like I could have sat all day. The move would have been to hunt for 3 hours, move to another stand,
Get your body heat up
hunt
again.
for 2 or
Yeah.
3 hours,
You can do
move
that.
either back to your other stand or go to a different stand.
Right.
But yeah, literally, I got down, I looked for that arrow for 5 minutes, and then we walked back to the truck. And by the time I got back to the truck, I was like, all right, I'm good. I feel like $1,000,000. Like
Yeah.
I could stay out here all day.
Moving, I'm good. Sitting still just kicks my ass when it's that
Well,
cold.
nothing, no matter what you do, if you're sitting out in 20 below, I just don't know how you could. I mean, the amount of clothes you'd have to put on, you just wouldn't be able to move.
Yeah.
I mean, I had clothes on where I could still draw a bow and accurately shoot it and sit in 20 below, so it's good. I had all my Plythal stuff on, and then, that stuff fits pretty trim. It's not baggy at all. It's comfortable. It has a lot of flexibility in the way that it's sewn. Like the arms are,
Yeah,
have like,
athletic cut or whatever.
yeah, and they have like bends in them and everything.
Mhm.
But I was able to take my old Rockies bibs and jacket and put that on right over all my Plythal stuff. So I was
That's what I did.
layered up, and I was super I'll never hunt in temperatures colder than that, I don't think. I mean, the
I hope
camera,
not. I don't want to hunt any colder than
the
that.
camera on that morning, that's exactly what it read. Air temperature on the camera read. I was taking photos. I took a photo of that deer that came in when I drew back on it. 20 below.
Jeez.
That's what the thing said.
Good cam.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed, dude. I ran 4 cameras through all that cold. Not one of them skipped a beat.
Nice.
I know, it's pretty impressive.
Mine did with the alkaline batteries, but
Yours worked?
even at 40% battery, I figured it would not be taking pictures.
No, it absolutely did. It took a picture, like, I don't know, it was the day before I grabbed it.
I didn't look at the pictures on it. I just went off what you told me.
No, yeah, even Drew's camera, he had alkaline batteries in it. And when did you
Yeah.
put those in?
Third week in November.
And they were at 42% when I checked his camera.
Jeez.
They'll probably read higher now that they're warm again.
I would imagine.
I'm not getting anything on these suckers.
But,
I didn't even know the batteries did that anymore. They put them little readers on them.
yeah, the cameras can handle 20 below.
Man.
With lithium batteries,
It's about 50%.
I haven't even touched any of the.
No.
Look
I know.
greater
I
fit.
wish I had lithium batteries in that one. I
Yeah, I
would've left
had-
it out.
Talked a bunch of shit about some lithium batteries because in my aggravation,
You got some bad ones.
I got some bad ones. But man, I got the last 4 sets I've had. I have 4 I'm running 4 cameras right now. I ran 4 cameras through all that cold. Lithium batteries in 3 of them, and then I had alkaline in 1, and the alkaline one was dead, and all the lithium ones worked flawless.
I love these trays.
Last
The
weekend,
battery trays.
Yeah, I
Last
feel like that
weekend-
too.
we got to go hunt with Steve and Chad from Exodus Cameras. And when we went down there on Friday night, we went to Chad's house. And you walk in his garage, and it is just a battery graveyard. There's just boxes of dead batteries everywhere. It's
Cameras
ridiculous.
everywhere. It's pretty funny. Yeah, those guys are in the camera business.
Yeah.
Just cameras everywhere, batteries everywhere.
Is that like, that's not where their production's at.
They have they have an actual office in like Southern Ohio where their other partner is.
Right.
But Chad does a lot of stuff just out of his house. I mean, everything they do is over the internet. you know, so they don't need like a huge storage facility as rack storage in his garage. Big, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Just pallets of trail cams.
Yeah.
He didn't really have that many cameras in his house. I think they store a lot of them at that warehouse, but he had quite a few of them just because
For his own.
if you owned a trail camera company, wouldn't you have a lot of trail cameras?
Oh, yeah.
You utilize that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time, actually. We got down there kind of late. We didn't get to Chad's house until 10. And we went in, and his brother Steve had picked up, a 15-pack all-day IPAs.
Yep.
And so it was kind of nice when you pull into somebody's house in Ohio that they got a nice Michigan brew waiting for you.
Heck yeah. I like them all days.
Yeah,
so,
it quickly turned to 1 in the morning, faster than I expected.
yeah.
Did you guys have to drive home after that?
Hmm?
Did you have to drive home after that?
Well, we stayed down there that night and hunted the
nice.
all
Yeah,
the
we
next
stayed
day.
in a hotel, 10 minutes from there.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So we drove.
I mean, we didn't really even get into the beers all that much. We didn't get down there till like 10:30, and then just
gotcha.
talking about where we were going to hunt in the morning and everything. You start talking deer hunting with guys, and time just disappears.
We were just looking at digital maps and going over a bunch of stuff. Would you have 2 beers? I think I had 3.
Yeah. I made the mistake of transporting my beers in the back of the truck down there, so they were frozen solid. Yeah. My fault.
Man.
I may have mentioned at the gas station that we should get some beer because those ones are going to be frozen. Drew's like, no, they're in the cooler. I'm like, it's 10 below. We've been driving for 4 hours. They're going to be frozen solid. They weren't.
We all make mistakes. I'm sorry.
They weren't frozen solid.
Happens to the best
They
of
were
us.
beer slushies.
Yeah.
They were the ones that when you open, they just keep foaming. Like
Oh,
a little
yeah.
volcano experiment,
Little shards of ice start sneaking out through the mouth.
But yeah, we didn't get to bed till 1. Then we got up at 5?
Yeah. I know when I set
sound like
my
our
alarm,
alarm,
I
too.
set my alarm, it said 3 hours and 46 minutes, so I upped it by 14 minutes, so I at least said 4 hours before I put my head down. But we got up at 5:14 or something like that.
Drove out to some.
What was your setup like? I mean, you guys, how'd you pick out your spots on the map and all that?
Winged it.
Yeah, we really did.
Did you pick funnel points or
What we
a
thought,
bag,
obviously,
or-
Chad and Steve have never really hunted this piece of property either.
Mhm.
And obviously we had never laid eyes on it, so we kind of looked at where we thought would be food and set up by that. But the first morning we ended up in the woods was way more mature than cared to be in that time of year, especially with all the leaves on.
It's probably important to let you guys know that I forgot my winter boots.
Yeah, he did.
Left my winter boots here. They were on my list.
The alpha burleys he loves so dearly did not make it down to
Doesn't
Ohio.
sound like you love them so much.
I checked my list off and I threw it in the trash. I don't know how I missed it, but I didn't have my boots. I had my fucking work boots on, and it was
Jeez.
what was it, 8 below when we went out?
Yeah, it was 8 below.
We walked
that.
about 150 yards before I fell through the ice.
Just in the middle of a field, he found this one spot where he just breaks through shin deep into water. It's like,
Oh, man.
So now I got
Wet feet,
I mean it didn't. I pulled my leg out quick enough
I imagine.
but I mean
everything froze right
Yeah.
on top of it too, so it's not like it got wet and then soaked in because it just turned to ice instantly.
yeah, but it didn't help me stay warm.
We're like, have fun, guys. Pick you up at sunset.
Yeah, so
Did you just sit out there with Drew then?
yeah,
You sat
so
together, had a blind?
We had a blind, but as we were walking out with it that morning, we just threw it into the weeds because we didn't feel like carrying it anymore.
You brought it back, right?
No.
I would have had a blind and a heater at rock. I have not done that once this year.
We looked
blind
like
with a heater.
couple jamokes, dude.
Yeah, we did.
We had
lawn chairs.
2 lawn chairs. We were carrying lawn
jeez.
chairs and this big pop-up blind. I'm like, we look like complete assholes. I'm like, this is taking us forever. Now I'm getting hot. It's starting to break day. I'm like, chuck these fucking things in the weeds. We'll get them on the way back, And so that's what we did.
Oh.
And we just kind of did a combination of still hunting.
Sitting a little bit, but pretty much just still hunted all day.
cover some ground.
We
Did you
did.
find some good deer sign?
The second parcel we went to was definitely a lot better than the first one we
Some
sat
good
at.
rubs.
We
and-
hunted till what, 10?
Yeah, 10:30.
And then we went and we met. Chad and Steve were out hunting as well, but they were on the opposite end of the parcel that we were on. What was it? 600 acres, 1,000 acres, or
I think the one big section we were on was like 500.
Mm.
I thought.
So we met them and we went and had we got treated to the finest.
Ooh, the finest dippy eggs Ohio has to offer.
The finest what?
Literally, the waitress when we sit down. Did somebody ask?
She was a sweet girl.
She was nice, but maybe not smart, but nice. But we sit down and I can't remember. Somebody
She started
asked,
it off talking about the biscuits and gravy are real good.
Yeah.
And then she said, my favorite is our dippy eggs. We have the best dippy eggs. The way that they make them, I don't know. And she's just going on and on. Like,
About
you're
dippy
like,
eggs?
yeah,
Dippy
about
eggs.
their over medium or over easy
Pan-fried
eggs.
eggs. You know.
So we're kind of expecting a little, these things are going to come out. They're going to be like garnished, have maybe some special sauce on them or something. Dude, they're just some fucking eggs.
They were the best. The best.
Great dippy eggs.
They were good,
Oh my god.
but they were like,
It's Ohio. They got to talk about something.
When we were driving down there that morning, that night, it was like foggy, but it was like 6 degrees outside and it was foggy.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It was super weird. And I look at Kevin, I go, we're in Ohio. It can't even be cold right down here.
Oh, jeez. Poor Ohio.
well,
Can't do it.
the breakfast was excellent.
It was.
They were, I mean,
Good
I wish
dippy
I could
eggs.
remember the place to give a shout out so people could go find these world-renowned dippy eggs because something special.
we had a good breakfast, and then we went to another public parcel, and we all drove to the back side of it, and then I didn't have a tag, obviously. I'm just kind of along for whatever. And Chad was bow hunting. Steve and Drew both had muzzle loaders. Chad said it must have been like the plastic that it was so cold that his inserts had shrunk to the point where they were loose in his arrows.
Oh jeez.
And so when he would go to draw his bow back, the nocks or the inserts would come right out of his arrows.
Dude, I don't know. It wasn't pulling out of my arrow, but when I went set up my tree stand the last time I hunted, I set up, I knocked my arrow, and I leaned forward. My arrow goes right down. I looked down, it just sticking straight up out of the ground with just a neon-looking knock and fletching on there. I'm like, oh, that's great. A little beacon for me. But for some reason, it wouldn't snap around the string like it was.
Just hard and
I don't know. It just didn't make a good solid contact. The second one did.
Well,
Oh.
we dropped them off at the backside, and they posted up on this big swamp. And then Chad and I drove around to the front side, and we kind of walked through, hoping that we'd maybe bump a couple deer to them. And it was was that parcel bigger?
No, that was under 100 acres. It was like 85 or 86 acres.
No.
wow,
Yeah.
that's it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, I thought it was.
Because when I looked on the map, even when we were eating breakfast, I was just trying to find like a small
Really? Huh.
parcel that would hopefully be a
I'm
little
good.
lesser known. I got a whole 6-pack right here.
You don't have to be quiet about it. You can just ask if anybody wants a beer.
Announce that shit. Who needs hydration?
But we kicked one deer up, but it never made it to those guys. And there had been just a gang of deer hunters through that piece in the morning. And when Chad and I pulled up to the parking lot, there was just a big puddle of blood where somebody had just drug a deer out.
What's that?
If you want, you can switch or take what
Ooh.
You guys trying to figure out what beers you're going to continue with?
I think I will try the Black Rocks 51K IPA.
I'll have your amber.
Much obliged.
But guys had just got done dragging a deer out. Yeah, and there was a puddle of blood in the parking lot. I'm like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad sign.
I missed about the blood. Was it a hunter? Jesus Christ. Worried about my beer. I'm sorry. Got priorities.
Yeah, a guy had just shot a deer and drug it out.
Okay.
And it sounded like it was a bit of a firefight over this deer in there.
Really?
There's quite a few Amish folk in this community,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess they do deer hunting just a touch different. They're pretty serious about it. But there's a bunch of Amish guys in there, and it sounded like everybody was shooting at the same deer.
Really?
And it was like
80
the
acres.
first one that got to it got it. So
Man.
There's people's footprints in there all over the place, but did find a couple of monster rubs back in there. It was
I thought
cool.
that was
too.
a bigger piece.
No.
God, it seemed like it walking through there.
No.
Huh.
But it felt very like bucky. Like you could just tell it was buck habitat in there for sure.
Yeah.
It's real thick.
Lots of transition between swamp and hardwoods and stuff too. It was just
Found a couple nice rub lines.
top-notch woods.
Yeah.
I got a little deer story.
Oh yeah.
You got a good deer.
Well, yeah. We to wrap on that. They never saw a deer. It was dark when we did one more little
Yeah.
maneuver, and we came up empty-handed. But we had a great time. Got a ton of exercise. I was sore the next day. Like my calves were. Well, yeah. You didn't.
I stood on the other side of the property and waited for the deer to come to me.
I fell through a couple, gas pockets in the swamp or whatever, handful of times. It was
When we finally called it quits at the end of the day, Steve had a hard time getting out of the
We-
swamp. I kept trying to claim him. Must have went through ice like 3 times in 5 minutes.
Done.
we all did fall. I think we all fell
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
or twice.
They all fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a touch of defeatist attitude, walking back to the truck a little bit. We were still having a good time, but it was a long day.
You put a lot of work in, and then not seeing a single deer, it does weigh on you. And I've had a lot of that this season, just not
Luckily,
seeing deer.
had those super energy, extremely awesome dippy eggs to power me through the day. But
See, that's the secret.
when I got back to the truck, I was dehydrated as shit.
Yeah, I was
I
dehydrated
could
too.
not
All the
wait.
next day, I felt like dog shit.
Yeah, I could not wait to get back to the truck and drink some water.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I needed to do was get back to the truck and drink a bunch of water. Instead, I had a big, huge coffee and 2 slices of salty-ass pizza.
Oh, dude. When it's like 20% humidity outside.
Yep.
Sucking it. The humidity out of you.
Sucking it.
Just sucking it. Oh, man.
So what's your deer story?
Well, Glenn Tarsel has a fridge full of venison.
What?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
New Year's Eve.
With the truck?
Not my truck.
You picked up a roadkill.
Not my truck, not my problem.
I did indeed.
How did I miss this?
I've been secretive about it.
I've been telling him to save it for the...
Ah.
I went up with my muzzleloader, New Year's Eve, and froze me bollocks off, and lasted about 3 hours, and figured I better get my fat ass out of the tree before I can't get down physically. And my mom had texted me. She works nights as a nurse, and she took this, same route to work every day. And then on her way home at 8 o'clock in the morning, she knows there was a deer on the side of the road that was not there when she went to work at 8 o'clock the night before. I was like, I'm thinking, do I really feel like getting in this? I'm freezing my ass off. I just want to go home and get warm, and I'm humbling, I'm hemming and hawing, and when it all boiled down, I was just being a lazy asshole. So, I get home, I told Jody about it, and she's looks at me, it's like, you hard on? All you've been bitching about all season is you want some venison. It's like, get your ass, let's go check that thing out.
Where was it?
On the side of Starville, just before 26 Mile Road.
Oh, okay.
So I pull up there, I look at it. It's a decent little, maybe 100-pounder, 120-pounder. Fresh blood splatter right on the road. Was it barely even frozen yet?
Really?
Yeah, I walk up, and I grab by its ear and lift its head up. Still limp as a dick.
So it just got hit.
Dude, it must have got hit not even 2 hours earlier. I tap on his belly, and it was still
Pliable.
Jiggly.
Yeah, it's still jiggly.
It was a button buck?
Yeah, I look at him like, I bet you that's a button buck. Little nubby sticking down. So I grab it. And,
Sticking down?
Or
A
sticking
little
out.
nubby? You'd
Little
salt
nubby
him when
sticking
he's
down,
dead?
couple nubbies sticking up.
but
Poor little guy.
yeah, so Jody grabbed the legs and we whipped it in the back of the truck and then pulled off the main road and called the proper authorities.
How's that go?
I called our local police. They said they figured out where I was at, so they said to contact the sheriff. I talked to the sheriff and they said it's a DNR matter. Tried calling the DNR on New Year's Eve and it was, closed up tighter than a dolphin's ass. Nobody was getting through. So
Where does it come up with this shit?
So I just, trying to figure out. And then I figured out you go on the website and you go through all the drop-down tabs and all that. And I think e-licenses and applications, you scroll down the bottom and you click on wildlife on the Michigan DNR webpage. And you click on wildlife and you scroll down all the permits and they have one that says roadkill salvage.
Yeah.
So I selected that and then it's just very cut and dry, self-explanatory. Fill out the information, location, what happened, a brief description if you want, and it will issue you a roadkill salvage. I guess like an authentication.
Yeah, a number basically.
Right. So I printed that off, and then I was like, kind of, what do we do? Just hang out on? And I mean, it was 2 degrees out. It's not like it was.
You
starting
put in way more effort than probably most people would have at that point in time.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Staying legal beagle.
Yeah,
that's
well,
good.
I'll go through the proper steps. So I'm like, well, I'll gut it at least, and then we got to figure out something. I was thinking of taking it to the butcher. I'm like, I really want to do this myself, and drug it out of the truck and took it out to the backwoods, and wife and I gutted it, and
That's a hot date night.
oh yeah,
She's a good woman.
oh
Good
yeah,
woman.
wouldn't have had that meat, wouldn't have had that venison if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
So she's giving me a hand with that, and I gutted it, rolled it over, letting it drain out. I'm like, well, I'll take the back straps out. So I, just experiment. I never, quartered a deer out in the woods before, so I just did a slit down the spine and popped the back straps out. And I'm like, well,
I'm
see
this
where-
far.
I'm this far, so I just pretty much, I think I did it kind of backwards though. I just peeled them from the top down. Just
There's
pulled,
a way of doing that. I think people do.
Gutless method.
Yes.
yeah, that's what I was
yes.
thinking. I
With
just
large game.
It was really easy. I just peeled it all back, down the legs and took the quarters off. And I had the thing gutted and all quartered out in 6-degree weather for the first time, with a little bit of help, in less than an hour. And that was done. Had it all down. Nothing was left but the saddle, and got the neck off, the hide, tenderloins and all that. And she went and grabbed a box, threw the 4 quarters in there. I grabbed the heart. Jody threw the heart and the back straps or the tenderloins, took them all in, and we're trying to figure out like what the hell to do because it's so cold. It was just freeze solid, and we don't have room in our fridge, so we emptied out our fridge like everything we could. And one method we found was they call it wet aging. It's where you make the rough cuts and vacuum seal it and let it sit in your fridge to age because I didn't want to start let it age for a couple days at least.
Right.
So we let it go, I think 5 days in the fridge. And you wouldn't believe the amount of blood that came out of it. So after that, just cut it open, drained it, cleaned it all up, started trimming, and got her all sealed up and packaged and put away.
Wow. Nice.
Man, that was nibbling on that, man. That's some pretty good meat.
So
off that guy.
nothing.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
No damn.
Dude,
They get hit in the head.
it got hit in the neck. His carotid artery was blown out. Looked like somebody jammed an M80 in that artery, and it blew out.
Really?
Wow.
The stomach, no guts, not a single thing was bruised or damaged.
That's a great roadkill find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in better shape if I shot it. Like-
Hope I get invited
Well,
over for a roadkill dinner.
I want
Dude,
roadkill dinner.
Let's do it. But it was unbelievable. I quartered it out. I did the front shoulders. We cut everything into steaks. We only ground 3 pounds of it. Cut it all in the steaks. I saved the shanks for and do the ossobuco. And then what the hell did we do? I think we ground the neck up. We went to the butcher, got a bunch of pork fat, and we weighed it all out, and we made it up 80-20. We hit her grandpa's old hand grinder for burger, and I think we ground up just around 4 pounds of burger, and made a couple up, and it's been real good.
I bet. There's a lot of farms around. I mean, that's corn-fed deer.
Oh yeah, his windpipe was still full of corn.
Oh, wow.
I cleaned him out, and then a couple days later I went back because damn dog kept going out to the gut pile. It was frozen rock solid. So I tried to like shovel up the gut pile to break up for the trash, and it was frozen like a rock. So I had to
That's
go
good for your dog.
go get an axe, and I chopped it up. I was just kind of curious. Chopped the stomach open, just pure corn in there.
Yeah.
I
Imagine.
wonder
I always
where
like
it was
to-
finding corn out there. Someone's
Someone's
bait pile,
corn pile,
probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
feeder.
Some old
Certainly.
person baiting the deer in their backyard or something.
Probably.
But that's
yeah.
cool, though. You mentioned, though, about it was your first time ever processing your own deer.
It was
A
awesome.
lot of people are intimidated, but it's actually pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And you really can't mess it up.
Watching
If you can fillet a fish, you can process a whole deer, no problem.
Right.
watching Meekoff do it and him at the rendezvous was helped a lot. You know, him explain how you could locate. It's just like a road map. You know, the muscle groups.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I, we just separate each muscle group, broke it down into steaks. The hindquarters, yeah, we just basically took the ball roasts out and we just made steaks out of all the hindquarters and got the back straps, the shoulder roasts, the neck. But it was super easy, you know. It's amazing how easily those things pull apart, and you just trim the silver skin off,
Right.
clean it up.
They're made that way.
But yeah, it was, dude, I would definitely, it was no effort at all to quarter that thing up in the woods like that and bring it in.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
not bad. And every one you do, it just gets faster.
Yeah,
Why didn't you do it in your garage with a little heater going or something?
because my garage is full of shit.
Really? That bad?
I feel your
It's
pain.
bad. I had no gambrel. My garage is just a mess. All my little projects going on,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really planning on being out in the woods, you know, going that far with it.
Bless you.
But I was actually warm from the thing was still warm. It was steaming warm, so my hands were perfectly fine. The only time I got cold is when I got it all busted apart and everything was broken down. But yeah, the main thing was it was just too damn cold out there. It would have froze solid by the time I got to any butcher open.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No.
But yeah, next year I'll be a little more prepared to have the garage organized and cleaned up.
You notice my bucks are still sitting there on the table.
Those eyes are sinking in a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
Mr. Scrunchy Nose.
It was warm today, but for the most part, it's been sub-zero temperatures. I mean, friggin' decimation in the fridge in here. that shit's all been frozen. I think that
Got
fridge
this
is
thaw. Well, the bottom's dropping out again. What, tomorrow?
Tomorrow night,
Tomorrow night.
17 low.
really. So it's just a quick
Then
little
down
tease.
to like negatives next week again and stuff. I think, or singles, at least singles.
Yeah, singles at night, high teens, and next Saturday it's going back up just below 40.
So I'm planning on getting out. I'm gonna go out Saturday when it gets cold again.
Man,
Let's see how.
I want to go Saturday morning, but I got to take my dog to the vet. So
I might hold off to the evening. I could go out there with you and meet up.
if I can swing the evening, I'll let you know tomorrow. I'll run it by the wife and see.
Yeah.
I'll feel it out after going to Ohio last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I did take her out perch fishing on Sunday though, and she caught a hoss of a perch.
Oh,
I
Amy?
saw that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took-
huge.
We went out on Tuesday after work too. Neighbor's daughter came over to watch the kids, so Amy and I went and sat on the ice and went ice fishing. She caught another huge slab of
Really?
a perch. It's ridiculous.
I haven't been for like 4 years.
me
A
neither.
Jigger Rapala,
No,
Ken's
just a
hook?
teardrop and a minnow on it.
teardrop and a minnow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Man, I can't stop sneezing. Found out today I'm allergic to fire extinguisher stuff.
All the dry
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You had to use one?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
No, it wasn't really exciting.
Let's hear about it.
Well, we were talking about work earlier, and I was going to bring it up, but we kind of got talking about deer hunting. But, yeah, real quick, today I had quite a day at work. So my first call, this really nice little old lady, I had put a water heater in for her like 6 months ago. And, I mean, she's probably 80. You know, she's got a walker, and she wanted a couple handicap compliant toilets put in, the taller ones.
Love
And
those.
so I'm doing the work, and she's just like standing over me and like talking to me, and like
She's lonely.
she was like being really nice, and like getting closer and closer and kept offering me things and
Like what?
starts
Yeah,
yeah,
what?
like little subtle compliments. I'm like,
You smell good?
what's going on?
Were you wearing really
here?
tight pants?
I'm like, is this the nicest lady ever, or is she like looking for me to dick her down?
I blew it. I'm here to fix the K,
Oh,
bud.
that's hilarious.
And so I'm like, man, I'm getting a little uncomfortable because like I'm putting a toilet in, so I'm like, I'm bent over, I'm doing my thing, whatever. And I kept thinking of that scene in in friggin' what's the movie with the gym? Where Justin Long's washing the guy's truck wheels, and he's like, "Yeah, finger in his
Dodgeball?
belly button. Get in
Dodgeball.
there, real good boy." I was in
This
like
lady
a,
have a pit bull sitting next to her while you were doing that?
I was in a real no, but she would get her walker and get right up to kind of pin me in. You know what I mean? She was like, I was a little bit
You
intimidated.
gotta stop wearing shorts to work, man.
Shorts.
Checking out those gams.
I think maybe she was just the sweetest, nicest old lady ever. But I mean,
Sounds like it.
I don't know, man. There was a couple things that she like, and I don't know.
You
There
gotta
was
mo-
something going on, man.
It obviously got hot in there because there's a fire extinguisher involved.
She made me a nice cup of coffee, and I got the job done, and I got out of there.
What about the plumbing?
Yeah. Got the toilets installed, too.
Ooh, that was a close one.
Surprisingly wet.
So, how are you allergic to fire extinguishers?
Gotta knock just gotta knock a little carbon off the valves every once in a while.
That was the next job. Okay. All right. So the Silver Fox attack is done and over with.
All right.
I've moved on.
Get your shots.
I'm at my next service call, and I'm putting a water heater in, and I'm smelling map gas, and all of a sudden it gets real strong. Well, those hand torches, they
Yeah.
must have like a diaphragm in there or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that thing blew while I'm sweating pipe, and my map gas torch exploded in my hand.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, burnt all the friggin' hair up off of here. So,
Oh, man.
yeah, scared the shit out of me. Burnt my hand. I chucked the thing, right?
First instinct,
And
get away.
where's it land?
The Christmas tree.
No. Well, I'm in the basement.
Oh.
A pile of cut trim that they're, do whatever.
This perfect pine kindling.
In the
Yes.
basement?
Yeah, because they were finishing the basement, so there's just a big pile in the
Oh,
corner
okay.
of like
All right.
trim.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like trim off of a tree. I'm like, why are they trimming trees?
No,
Or something
pine,
else. Maybe
like
they're
you
growing
said,
something else in there.
pine trim,
Baseboard.
2-inch pine trim,
Right.
a pile of it,
Dude.
and this friggin' the torch is going.
No way.
So I grab the thing and I throw it on the ground, and it's just pure instinct. Whatever's on fire, stomp on it, right? So I'm stomping on this thing.
On your torch?
And now I'm thinking, I'm literally stomping on a cylinder of compressed gas that is on fire. So I, in a panic, fly up the stairs, run out of the house, yank my passenger seat back because my fire extinguisher is mounted behind the passenger seat on the bulkhead.
Yeah.
I yank the thing out, and I'm like looking at the pin and the instructions while I'm running in the house. And I get in the basement, I'm just like, fucking fire that thing off, and the torch goes right off, and now it's just dumping raw gas out, So I'm thinking the whole time, like, these people are going to fucking freak out, And so I just want to get this thing out of the house as quick as possible. So I go running upstairs, and she was watching TV, man. She never even saw me run through the living room with a fire extinguisher. But she came down. She's like, "What's that smell?" She's like, "Oh my God."
farted.
She's like, "What happened?" And
Wow.
everything smells like a
situation.
combination of gas and burnt hair and
Ugh.
fire extinguisher stuff. And when that stuff's in the air,
Sounds like a Saturday night.
that stuff is in the air, that powder. Like, I tried to sweep a little bit of it up, and it just choked me out, man. And I've been
Dude.
sneezing ever since.
I was
Sucks.
when I was working for Dad. Tommy and I were driving around in the work van, and we used to hang our hoodies on the fire extinguisher. Well, somehow the pin came out of it, and it's on the backside of, like, the cargo vans have those divider walls, and we're driving down M29, and you just hear, and the whole cab of the van just went yellow.
Oh,
It filled
jeez.
our lungs, you know, like we ripped the van over. I was just coughing that shit up for like 2 days.
Is that what it does? Does it starve the fire
Yeah,
oxygen?
it literally sucks
Yes.
oxygen out of the fire.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
like you
CO2
breathe
or
just a
something.
touch of that stuff, and it's like it like sucks the air out of you.
Yeah, I think it's carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Just displaces it.
So yeah, I had a fucking day, man. But
That's crazy.
and I didn't get done until 6:30, and we were gonna start this at 7:30, and I was supposed to pick up dinner. I was just fucking red-assed, man.
Just go back to Aunt B's and get some get some apple pie and just tell baby I had a rough day.
oh man.
Aunt B, that's perfect.
Her name was oh God, Eleanor.
Eleanor, ooh.
It's a good one. All right.
Sassy Ellie.
Well, should we get this going here?
Yeah, I was gonna mention it at the beginning, in case anybody was gonna cut out
Just
through,
listen.
through that. But this one's not too long, though. People, I had a couple other things I wanted to cover just real quick before we. What we're gonna do is we're gonna announce the winner of the Dan Infalt
Scouting trip?
scouting trip giveaway. Couple quick things that I wanted to cover here real quick though. Did you guys see? You guys aren't on Facebook, but there's been a lot of new product. Everybody's releasing their new products for this year.
ATA
At the
is going
ATA.
on right
ATA
now.
shows going on right now. Did you see the camera that Hawk released?
No.
Super interesting looking.
A tree
Trail cam?
stand company?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hawk put out a line of trail cameras. I'm sure they're manufactured by who knows,
Yeah.
but they're Hawk's cameras, and they have like I think they do something Bluetooth. I don't know if they transfer photos Bluetooth, like when
Oh, that's
Oh.
interesting.
Proximity?
You
Where
get
it,
within a distance.
you put
you have to be right up to
a
it.
guy
it
I
looked
work
like.
with was just telling me about this too. They make cameras now where instead of being like cell signal to send the camera to your house, you can have a receiver in your house. And if you have like, say you have
Cuddy back
50
Link
acres
does it.
or whatever, and you got like 5 cameras, it'll
But that's
hop the pictures.
a cutting link, and it does it by radio frequency,
Right, yeah.
Yep.
ham radio frequency, I believe.
This is something different though.
Yeah.
I've seen Bluetooth ones where you can get within maybe
Yeah.
50 yards or 100 yards. You
No,
don't have to
I
get right
think
up
you
to
have to be right up to it, but I'm not
Okay.
sure. We'll find out. I was gonna try to maybe get one, so we could play around with it here and see.
Okay.
But it looked like it had some really nice features. It looked like a really nice camera, so I'm kind of curious to see. They had 3 models. They had a black flash one. They had a regular one.
An IR, just regular IR,
Yeah,
or a regular white flash.
I don't know if it was white flash or what.
Okay.
It said the regular camera price. Then it said black. What are you looking at, mouse?
Oh no, it's just
Oh.
Has he been around?
Yeah, I had the camera set up over there on the trap,
Yeah.
and son of a bitch picked the cheese right off the trap without getting caught. I watched him do it right
on
on
the trail cam?
Yeah,
peanut butter.
Oh, that's
yeah, I know.
sweet.
I'm gonna get him here pretty quick, but he's relatively
Crafty.
elusive. Yeah,
Good for
so-
him.
It's probably dead.
But yeah, I think we'll
Try him
try
out.
to
I
get
like the idea about being able to set a trail cam and not have to intrude
Yeah.
in on that area. If I could even get within 50 feet of it
Yeah.
and not go to where that trail cam's at, I like that. I
Keep
think
your
that's a
stank
sweet,
out of the woods.
right. At
Right.
least right by that trail cam.
the
for
Cuddy
sure.
Link system is pretty slick. You seen that?
Yeah, it was on the back of one of my magazines, and it showed
Right.
depending on the coverage, it could get within a quarter mile or something like that. It can communicate to
Right.
cameras. It was pretty significant.
Right. Yeah, and it'll ladder.
Yes, so you could have
Off that.
10 of them, I think, or is up to a certain amount, but you could do
Yeah.
so many of them. And
It's daisy
But
chain 'em.
yes.
But what I'm saying is it repeats that signal. So like you could have this one a quarter mile, you could have that one a quarter mile, and the next one a quarter mile.
Yeah.
So your hub could be a mile and a half away from a camera,
Yep.
and you're repeating the thing, and it comes all the way back.
and it'll
and
tell you what cam the pictures come from and all that.
Yeah.
pretty
So,
badass.
Yeah, that's a cool feature. You'll see more and more of that stuff, I think, nowadays.
I think that's really cool. One thing I'm not all that excited about that I saw floating around real popular was you guys see the GPS site that
Garmin?
they put
The
out?
Garmin Rangefinder site.
Yeah.
Thing's bullshit.
Well, you look
Well-
through your scope and it gives you yardage.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
it just
puts the pin where it needs to be, tells you how far it is. I
it's-
Oh,
think.
for bows?
yeah,
Yes.
it's for a bow.
Oh.
So you look through the housing, and there's a little LED readout on top,
Yep.
and it says yardage, angle, everything. But you don't even have to look at that. You could put tape right over it because it places the pin wherever it needs to be.
See, here's my whole confliction with that. I believe in a clean, ethical kill. So, yeah, I mean, that right there is probably going to give you the most cleanest, most ethical kill. It's going to put the dot right where it needs to be every time.
Right.
But then on the other side of the coin is the guys that get out there and archery hunt. The way I appreciate archery hunting is making it part of my whole year. You know, I get out, I shoot my bow, I know my bow. I do use a rangefinder,
Right.
and I have a floating pin, but it seems like I don't know. It just seems like you don't have to be so into it, into the sport and
There's
appreciate as much. You just
Well,
might
it's
as well.
not going to make you a better shot anyways, because even if it puts the pin right where it needs to be,
You
if
could,
you don't have anything, you
Form.
float around all the time.
Still
I don't
doing
know
a
how you could
lot
say
more
it
work
wouldn't
for
give you
you.
a make you a better shot. If you
I
practice
think
a
if you
little
take
bit.
$800 and go spend all that money on range time throughout the year, you'll be a hell of a lot better shot than just buying an $800 sight.
Yeah,
but
I
it's,
mean,
that's never who's gonna.
That's
uh,
what I'm saying. It's not the market for that guy.
Guys
I
that
don't
go to
think
a
so.
range aren't the guys that are gonna buy that site.
I would say if you're going to be in the market to buy that site, do yourself a favor and just buy a crossbow.
Well, that's
I
the
think
next
that
thing
you're
that'll
kind of
be.
just you're
Or
right
wait
there.
till rifle season.
Or wait till rifle
The next
season.
thing will be they'll have that for a crossbow.
the high-tech shit is out of my wheelhouse.
I don't know. I just
I'm not excited about it at
I'm
all.
not excited about
There's
it.
a
at
lot
all.
of
Somebody
people
out there
that
is.
were. There
Yeah.
were a lot of people. You could see
There's
all
a
the
market
likes
for
and
it. You could
everything.
see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge.
And I
to
just
each
missed
their
the
own.
deer.
To
You're
each
pretty
their own.
judgy.
Yeah.
You've said it yourself.
Me? I'm not that judgy.
Stick and
Yeah.
string.
You
that's-
created the word judgy.
Yeah, but I'm not that judgy.
How do you feel about my CVA muzzleloader?
I think if you're happy with your CVA muzzleloader, good for you.
Judge Dredd
And
over
I
here.
am, yeah.
You are the law.
I am not going to spend a lot of time on CVA right now. I will touch on it one time and just explain. I'm not upset that I had a problem. I'm just upset with the way it was handled by customer service and with the group.
I think
Connecticut
that's
Valley
That's it.
Arms
And
built
I
this
think
country.
it's-
I don't care that I had a problem.
And it's still not reconciled, right?
I sent my gun back to them beginning of December, and they sent me an email saying I would get it 5 weeks or sooner. And they managed to overpromise and underdeliver on that because it's been about 6 weeks now, and I haven't heard anything back from them.
Is it that hard, CVA? Is it that hard just to reply back? Quit being a dick. It's that easy.
You
Yeah,
got
I mean, I
ghosted
would
by
expect-
CVA.
It would just be nice to even just to get an update without checking on it. Say, hey, we received your gun. Hey, it's, we got a couple more guns and we're going to look at it or something like that. I just appreciate a good customer service experience.
Yeah.
And I would
s-
boast about you. I really don't. I've had a lot of problems with companies because I'm really rough on my gear. I was rough on my muck boots. I was rough on my Alps Outdoors backpack. They've been an absolute pleasure to deal with. CVA, thumbs down customer service.
I imagine you getting a
That's
photo back. I imagine you getting a letter in the mail and you opening it up, and it's going to be all the CVA executives sitting around a campfire sipping scotch, burning your gun.
Yeah, good for them. Send me my money back, please. So I can buy a real muzzleloader.
Burning your gun or having sex with it, then
so
mailing it back.
That's I just don't have a personal vendetta against them, and I'm not saying that nobody should buy them. I'm just saying my experience was horrible with them.
I'm glad
And
you brought it up.
I don't care that I had an issue with them.
Because
I
you know a
care
lot of
about-
guys messaged and they thought that was pretty funny.
I feel let down by the customer service. That to me is almost
I'm
the most
telling you
important
right
thing.
now.
I want to interact. That's it.
God forbid the next company that I have a terrible customer service interaction with, because I take that shit real seriously
it to heart.
in my line of work and in stuff that I purchase. Like, I'm right there with you. If
I agree.
things happen, I get that.
Right. And I don't care. Yeah, it bums me out. I was going to be without my muzzleloader for
But
the
be
whole season.
professional about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, treat me like a human being. Just work with
So
me.
I mean, this would be okay if I could. They say, well, what would you do different? If I
Well-
was that muzzleloader company and I have a receipt, I purchased it myself. You bought the gun from us. I'm sorry you had an issue, and I know that a lot of people just sight their guns in right before season, and you notice you had an issue right before season. I'm not going to ask you to miss your muzzleloader season. We will send you out a loaner. Then you send yours back in that box. We will fix it, and then we'll send you one back, and then we'll have the shipping label created, and you can send us back our loaner. We're very sorry you had an issue, but here's a gun. Sorry you might miss a week or so out of gun season if you got to recite this new one in. But that's all I would have asked for. And
shouldn't I mean, that should be expected. And I get that with big corporations and stuff nowadays, it's not always how it goes. But for some reason, I expect a higher quality of customer service in the outdoor industry, particularly in the hunting community. I don't know why. I just do. I feel like hunters, and the more that we work in this space, we find out that it's very far from this, but I always like envisioned in my head that if you own a hunting company and you sell hunting products, you're probably a hunter. You probably
passionate
care
about
about
it.
hunters.
Right.
It's pretty far from that. All these big hunting companies, the big ones,
It's a money grab. The industry is
They're
such a huge
owned-
industry.
they're owned by, bigger corporations and things that are suits and ties and businessmen. And when things get to that size, a lot of times you're just not going to get the customer support that you want.
And sometimes, I mean, Muck Boots, big company. Alps Outdoors, big company. Both great experiences, and I had issues with both.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to buy Muck Boots and continue to buy Alps packs. I think they're great.
Well, the more time we spend in this space, the more that you find it's pretty
Yeah, what
dirty,
did
right?
when we were down in Ohio, I compared it to an escort service. It looks great on the outside, and then you start looking behind the curtains. It's like, oh shit, this
Dead
is
on
getting
the inside.
fast.
Yeah, really.
So yeah,
That brought me into one of the other. So the GPS site, yeah.
it's not for me either.
It's not for me.
It's not our market. Somebody out there
No,
might
I don't
like it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
not-
like it at all.
I do my best not to judge the
It's
crossbow guys.
$800.
I do my best not to judge the crossbow guys, so I'm not going to try judging the guys that want to buy the $800
Oh, I'll
site.
be all judgy on the $800. So.
Whatever. They can,
Yeah,
to
$800.
each their own. I'm not ever going to buy
That's
one.
crazy.
I'll never buy one.
Plus, what happens when it's 16 below? You just don't go hunt. Oh,
Yeah.
my sight's not turning on.
Yeah. That's what would happen.
Hey,
Yeah.
most people that aren't diehard hunters will never catch themselves out in that temperature
Yeah,
anyway.
you're right.
So
The
they don't
guy
care.
that
they're done
buys
in
that site's
they're done
never-
by November 15th
right.
Or
Yeah, you're right.
30th.
or whatever. But I mean, most bow hunters are done by
Oh
November
yeah,
15th.
bow hunters. Yeah.
You know, when I started this, I wanted to do like a segment. Well, we kind of started to do like a talking shit segment. I mean, it's kind of become a little bit of a, but like
We're gonna be honest about everything.
douchebags in the outdoors. That kind of has a ring to it.
Douchebags in the outdoors.
And this week on douchebags in the outdoors, we'll talk just for a minute here about Chris Brackett. You know about that gentleman? You know
I've
who that guy
never heard
is?
the name before.
Really?
Never heard the name before.
Not you?
Nope.
I should show you a picture. You know about
I
him.
don't even need to look at him.
I
He
know.
sounds like
I
a
know
real
about
jerk.
him now,
No.
but I didn't know
should-
about him before.
Should we be the better men, not be so judgy?
No, he's an asshole, and he deserves
This
everything
guy
that he
is an
just got.
asshole.
What do you?
So he's
I
you
don't
know
know.
how like on the hunting programs, there's some really good ones and then there's some really bad ones.
There's like 2 good ones, and the rest are all really bad
Yeah,
for them.
you're
what are you
right.
talking about? Just the
You know,
Hunting
like the
TV.
acting, like the super corny
Lee and
guy.
Tiffany.
Yeah, but that guy's at least like a
They're
legit
nice
hunter.
people.
Yeah.
They're nice people.
He is like that guy does backcountry
Yeah.
mountain like
Oh, really?
sheep hunts and
Yeah.
shit. He's a fucking
And Tiffany is hardcore. I
she
think
might
so.
be. I don't know.
She does wet work.
All right, let's continue talking about this guy you got a problem with.
Well, Chris Brackett, when he came on the scene, I looked at him, I'm like, God, people saw him and he represented like a hunter or like an outdoorsman. He was like the last person I would ever want representing me. Just a complete shithead. Just like total phony. Always like praising God, but in like a real phony way. He had these big goofy ass like pork chop
God.
what do you call it?
Sideburns?
Sideburns, yeah.
Okay.
Big cross necklace. Always had his shirt unbuttoned halfway down. Just looked like an asshole. you know how you can tell for sure. He had the jeans
With flaps on the
Bedazzled
pockets.
with the flaps on the pockets with like crosses on them and
I
shit.
swear to God, I was gonna say, does he have flaps on his jean
Yep,
pockets?
he sure does, man. Probably some rhinestones on there somewhere, so, something.
Just listens to Luke Bryant all the time in his truck.
Luke Bryant and Nickelback
So
on repeat.
I want to hear more about it.
So
though.
he had this
I mean,
hunting show,
I'm
right?
not gonna judge him on his clothes.
It
right
was
now,
called Chris Brackett, Fear No Evil. And
Okay.
it was super corny. And he, a month ago, I think. So this, I don't know when this particular instance happened, but he verbally assaulted, for lack of a better terms, his cameraman. Like,
oh, did he pull a Christian Bale on him?
his 100%.
What an asshole.
His cameraman had the camera running while they were doing something in a blind, and he just starts giving it to him, man. You're a fucking idiot. Fuck you. Get the fuck away from me.
Berating him?
Cussing him out, just yelling at him and this and that. And I'm like, Jesus. And so I only saw this because the cameraman released this.
Good for him.
Because what happened is about, I don't know if it was a month or 6 weeks ago, this guy, Chris, was on somebody's property in Indiana. He shoots a deer that he was told by the landowner, this is a young buck, we've been watching him, do not shoot him.
So he's a guest invited,
So he was a guest on this property.
right?
He was
So-
a cousin.
He shoots this deer. He shoots the deer that they didn't want him to shoot. And in Indiana, you get one buck tag.
Right.
Well, 3 minutes later, a much bigger buck walks in, and
Uh-oh.
he shoots it.
Hello,
And the
CL.
cameraman turned.
So the guy's a poacher.
Yeah, the cameraman turned the film over to the state,
Good man.
and the guy got the
Lost
ticket,
the hunting license.
lost his hunting license,
3
lost
years.
all his sponsorships, and lost his show. So Chris Brackett, fuck you! I'm so glad your show got canceled. You are a complete douchebag. Not that you'll probably ever hear this, but if anybody hears this that knows him, just tell him to tune in. He's a very poor representative of a sportsman.
Well, hopefully he shapes up.
Let that be a lesson, Christopher.
Don't wear rhinestone pants.
Dear
Don't be
hero.
don't be an asshole.
You don't talk to people like that.
Fuck that. I have no respect for anybody that talks to people like that.
Yeah.
I don't care
can honestly
who you
say
are.
I've really never talked to anybody like
Not
that.
my
I never
lifetime.
have either, man.
I don't think I have.
Nope,
Nope.
not at all. And I have zero respect for anybody
And
that
I've
does.
never poached. So
Why would you ever want to make anyone's life more difficult than it already is?
Well, if it's funny though.
Wasn't funny.
I
It's just
mean,
just rude being a dick.
I just feel bad that people will stand there and absorb that shit. Let some
Right.
hard-on talk to
no,
them like
it's
that.
like
well, and
it's the difference between fun shenanigans and evil shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
have a little bit of
evil
respect
shenanigans.
and decency. That's all.
I would have just walked right up to him and just slammed his face right in the dirt.
Yeah. Well, he's making a bunch of money for these programs.
Yeah.
And it's funny, everybody comes out of the woodwork now and says what an asshole he was, but he had all these sponsorships, and it just goes to show that's how we got on this.
If you're a good salesman and you get networking and all that stuff, I mean, you can make things happen.
I know, but
And you can really put on an act and seem like you're a
we were
decent
we were
guy.
talking about this because hunting companies being, some of them being in it for them.
Themselves,
just the money. It's
bottom
only
line.
about the
they
money.
only care about their
And
bottom line.
anybody that would sponsor that asshole, I just would look and be like, yeah, I'm not going to purchase your product. If you're in business with that
Yeah.
guy, because you knew how he was, likely.
I've been fooled before by people, though. Not often.
Dude, I'm
but
going to show you a picture of this guy, and you're going to be like, yeah, you wouldn't have fooled me. I would have known you were an asshole.
I try not to judge a book by the cover.
Yeah.
Save yourself a lot of bad book reads.
That's true. That's
Just
true.
saying.
But I like to give people second chances or benefit of the doubt. Like, hey, this guy just doesn't know how to dress at all. Like this, all he's had is
It was his
weird
attitude.
dressers.
I mean, I'm not, whatever, man. I've had friends that wear flappy, what do you call them?
Jean flaps?
Jean flaps.
no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that though. That's one thing I wouldn't do. Jean flaps.
Guys, just don't do it.
Well, some
please.
people have really valuable things in their back pocket and they don't want to lose them. So how you can do that with an open pocket? You need to have a flap to retain these important
Flaps
items.
on a man's trouser pockets should only be allowed on a wool pair of dress pants.
So I just
Or
Googled.
cargo shorts.
Or cargo
I
shorts.
Googled Chris Brackett. It says Chris Brackett is a professional archer, bow expert, former host of Arrow Affliction, host of Fear No Evil, and creator of Poaching Indiana Style.
Does it say that?
That's exactly what it says. This is
That
on
is
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
someone edited it
Poaching
in.
Indiana style.
Brackett is from Bartonville, Illinois. There we go.
At least he got a mature buck.
What the word?
Oh my gentle G's. He looks like a fucking cell phone
I'd like-
salesman.
I'd like to think
That I don't know why, but I think you're right. He does.
He looks
look
like he's
it.
running
I
the
used to
key-
sell cell phones too.
Oh yeah.
I think that he would
for
probably meet his quota every month because he's just a good fast talker.
He
I'd
looks like
just
he should
like
be-
to thank God for allowing me to poach this here buck off this guy's property.
He looks like he'd be hounding customers at a kiosk in Lakeside on the weekends.
Well, that irks
Well-
me too. He prides himself on being this big, religious guy, and you think he'd be this real nice,
Yeah, I mean, I
soulful
don't try to-
person, and then
Right.
you're just an asshole to people. I don't know, man. You're not who you say you are.
I wouldn't say Christians would be perfect, or Christian would be
I'm not
perfect,
saying
but-
that either,
But
but-
that right there is not.
Then again,
That's not cool.
I was just an asshole for judging
His-
him upon his looks.
His
so.
facial hair is pretty indicative of the general news I've heard about him, so I'm not surprised.
His facial
See,
hair is kind of.
I dodged a shitty book. I would
Yeah.
have not even looked into that one.
I could honestly tell you. I mean, I'd be guilty of probably doing a little judging. Being a
Dude, he
little
had the
judgy.
nerve on Facebook to talk shit to Cameron Haynes about I don't know, mental endurance or something.
All I can hear is that quote from Joe Dirt about, does your facial hair grow in all white trash like that?
He'll have a lot of time to regenerate a new look for his facial accessories without hunting in his life from now on.
Yeah, he wrote something on Cameron Haynes' Facebook page about
Who's
not
Cameron
having enough
Haynes?
mental toughness.
The guy that runs those ultra marathons. He's the Under Armour guy,
Gotcha.
big bow hunter.
Mm-hmm.
He runs like 200-mile marathons.
Who's Cameron Haynes?
So-
That's funny.
Yeah. well,
It's just, it gives people a good idea, how you spend your time working, man.
I don't really.
He's been on Rogan a lot. You don't ever listen to.
That's the only
Rogan.
way I know of him.
No, I don't listen to a lot of things. Crying kids and the boss telling me what to do.
You gotta tune them out, man.
My
That
wife telling me what to do.
This shit ends at 3:30. You're on Ryan time.
No,
My kids?
No, work time.
Oh. I ain't listening to you, kid, no more.
I'm on Ryan.
I'm on Ryan
Dead
time.
time.
Can I get one of those,
You absolutely can.
what are
I
they?
really actually like these.
What is it, a
Those are
black
tasty.
IPA?
This is from Marquette, Michigan.
It's a
Oh,
black IPA?
We are
No.
officially done with video on
Okay.
this podcast.
Son
She's
of a
gone.
bitch.
She's gone. It's all right.
Black rocks.
Can you throw that other card in there?
Just
It
throw a
was
couple
the
pictures in
battery.
the end.
Oh.
Just can you change out pictures in the
Well,
end?
Yeah.
I guess.
I want to
if
go home soon anyway.
You're
so
listening to this
perfect.
on YouTube. Well, we said we are going to keep it right around 90 minutes, and that's right what we got to.
Right,
So,
yeah, the battery.
guys were
Did you wanna-
messaging in today asking if the YouTube episode was up from last week. I said, no, I don't think it is yet. But obviously people are relying on that now,
That's
which
cool.
is good.
Which one's that?
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to send me the audio.
I
of
know.
them.
It's not like it's your
Our
fault.
last one we did together?
It's all your
No, the
fault.
one that...
It's always is.
It's my fault when I go home too.
that is a tasty brew.
It's a good IPA. I have had them. This
Golly.
is the second or third time I bought them, but it's I like them.
Brewed and canned by Black Rocks Brewery in Marquette, Michigan.
I've been looking for Hop
Have a
Slam. I
coaster?
cannot find it anywhere. I like Hop Slam. It's out. It just came out. What, Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I might be able to get them to reserve some at the store by my house.
People who don't know, Hop Slam is a
Big
Limited.
deal.
beer that's like gold around here.
Well,
Limited release.
It's by Bell's, right?
Bell's
yeah.
Brewery.
Bell's Brewery, and it comes out. It's a special blend of hops, and
big
it comes
supporter
out
of the Great Lakes and conservation.
huge. It comes out about the same time every year, and you can buy this stuff and hold on to it, but after a few months, it will the chemistry of it, whatever changes, where it's not a true hop slam. So you only have a window of drinking it where it's a true hop slam, that the aromas and all that stuff and the tastes are spot on with a hop slam.
It's a double IPA brewed with honey to achieve alcohol content.
Whatever you
10%.
say, Chris Brackett.
It's so good. It is so good. I remember the one time we were fishing in the canal
It's brewed with the blood of
behind
Chris
Pokley's,
Brackett.
and we were sitting in the shanty.
I remember that.
And I bought some of that stuff. My first experience with it ever. And I sat down and I
Sneaky.
drank almost a whole 6-pack to myself, having a blast.
Why
I
would you
stepped
do
out.
that?
I stepped out the shanty and I hit my ass, and I could not get up.
Yeah, that'll happen.
It's
I've
a
had that
sneaky
happen
brew.
with
It's
two,
so good.
Two Hearted Ale. I drank a
tasty.
6-pack of
Dude.
Two Hearted Ale one day.
Bad
and
News
it
Bears.
fucking wrecked my face off. The next day I was puking and shit.
I think that my first experience with like microbrews was with Two Hearted. Other than drinking like Bud Lights all the time, it's always like your standard beer, and then you start drinking these micros, and you're like, whoa.
Two Hearted's a gateway drug into the.
I think it
craft beer
basically
world.
is.
So
It's
good.
delicious. It's a good steady in the business. But I wanted to ask you. I know we're kind of getting close.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on some of our plans for?
No,
Next
let's
season,
do that.
We'll
got
say,
a
well, yeah,
whole-
well, that's a whole podcast.
gotta
We're gonna
do
do one episode
this
here
now
pretty
and
quick.
everything.
We're gonna talk about the off season plans for the off season, goals for the podcast, and goals for us personally for 2018.
Scouting plans,
Scouting.
yada, yada.
Like
Shit,
what we
yeah.
learned last year that we're gonna put towards this year, and why we're all gonna kill big bucks next year.
Guaranteed.
Maybe not. Probably everybody
Never
will kill.
saying that again.
Everybody will
I like to
tag
say
out
it.
next year, and I won't get a deer. That's probably how it'll go.
It was a
That's
tough
usually
season
how
for
it
me. I'm
goes.
still at it, and
It's pretty hard to be consistent killing bucks in Michigan.
yeah. I mean, guys that can pull it off, like John. I mean, hats off to him. I mean, it's a tough gig.
Oh, and we got a lot of people messaged in about the Mitch Rampala buck.
Yeah, we
So,
got to do that
we're
episode.
yeah,
I got to
gonna
read up on
start
it.
putting
still.
Talk to my
stuff
uncle about
together.
him. He's the local up there.
Yeah,
where
well,
he's from. So.
we're talking that we're gonna try to get the Wi-Fi set up in here.
Yep.
And I think what we'll actually be able to do while the four of us are sitting here talking, we'll be able to phone in like John Eberhart and stuff. So we'll be able to have him right on while we're talking, and we'll
Nice.
let him cover some of the Rampala stuff. And
I wonder
there's
if
a
I can
few other
find-
people that have messaged in that know people that
Mhm.
know him.
Yeah.
They're like
People
I'm
just reach out to you?
really like impressed by the guys that listen to this. Like,
There's some
send-
heavy hitters. Huh?
Yeah, sending in like some pretty good information and ways.
We're just normal little dudes.
We might even be able to track down Mitch Rampala.
I think it'd be great to try to have him on the podcast. He hasn't done an interview in a very long time, though. I
Yeah.
know that.
Yep. We're pretty informal here, so
I finally
you finally what?
I finally saw a picture of that deer, and
Not buying it.
I-
It's funny, man. If
I
you
don't
post
know.
a picture of that right now, there will be 100 people by the next day that'll comment on it, and 50 of them will say that thing's real. I know him, and then another 50 will say no. That's
That
no
thing's
so.
fake. I know
Dude,
him.
if that deer was a real true Michigan deer, he'd be pasty white with clear eyes like a mole man, because he's been living in a cave his entire life to not die by a bullet.
I don't know. Like I said, I try not to.
I think it's
Deer get
bullshit.
big in Michigan.
Yeah,
Deer get big in
there is
Michigan.
no doubt about
and,
that, but not. I don't.
I
know.
don't know him personally either, so it's hard. So, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, and
Yeah.
we'll get back to it here pretty soon. You know, I was gonna start the show off by asking people to go on iTunes and leave reviews. A bunch of people did. We were up to what? We were up to
77.
77.
Local 77.
Local
people don't know the
77.
significance to that.
People don't
it's
know.
a huge deal for us.
I know. We're gonna
As soon as
hold
the
off.
podcast camera shuts down, it's 77 time.
We're gonna hold off on letting them in on that.
We should. We should.
We'll maybe keep it to like next year deer camp, and then we'll do a 77 episode.
Log Jammers
So-
local.
Bad. So bad. What's wrong with us?
Local jammers. But yeah, we had 77 reviews. We were, before I blasted everybody saying they weren't tipping their waitress, we were at like 50.
We got 80 now. I looked today. There's
No
80
shit.
reviews. Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
People-
80
So, I mean, what's a
ratings.
good level? Are we blowing the top off the thermometer at this point? or-
Wired to Hunt's like got over 1,000.
He's got like
Oh.
10,000, I thought.
No.
Oh,
Man.
no. That was Meat Eater. I looked at had like 11,000.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that guy is on
Wow.
fire.
That's
we should have
crazy.
him on the podcast.
Maybe someday.
Why
I
wouldn't
talked to Doug. I've been talking. Actually, I talked to Doug during the last 3 days.
Oh shit.
Look at
And
that.
he's pretty good friends with Steve. So maybe
Yeah.
at some point
He's a
something
Michigan
like that
guy.
could
He's
happen.
Stevie.
He's Wisconsin.
Hey, Stevie.
Are you Oh, Steve, listening yeah. to
us right now?
Who knows? Maybe someday.
He's just a guy like we are.
I've been listening to shit out of some Meat Eaters.
He's the
week.
kind of guy though. I'm not gonna do a phone thing with Steve
No.
Ranella. If I'm gonna do a podcast with Steve Ranella,
Either go to him or him come here.
Yeah, I
he
doubt he's
should
gonna-
come here.
I'm
Definitely.
guessing you're going to him.
No, this would be a better deal, I think.
Yeah.
Although he would probably enjoy
Yeah.
sitting down and talking in here, I don't think he has time.
No.
But maybe at some point.
I think you can make time.
Maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows? Jesus Christ. We got really sidetracked. We were going to end the show like 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
The
Just make sure everybody's getting their free's worth on the show. Anybody that hasn't yet that's been listening weekly, it'd be just lovely if you'd take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and type in a good comment. I know other podcasts say they don't care if you write anything, they just want the 5-star review. I'd like a little feedback.
Yeah, we got 3 1-star reviews, and
Maybe-
you can't read anything.
Maybe they
from
could give
them.
us 5 stars and
Yeah.
tell us we suck too.
No,
if
I
they
think
really feel that way.
Drew brought it up that we got 1-star reviews after a CVA rant. We might be a couple CVA employees that
Oh yeah, they're mad.
went
I'm
on there.
sorry, CVA guys.
You don't have to
gotta work for a
apologize to
living.
them. They-
They got to work for a living, and maybe they're not the customer service department. You know.
Right.
I
So
was disappointed though that I couldn't read what they had to say. They just clicked the 1-star and bailed out.
Cowards. Cowards they are.
you can. I gotta imagine anybody that's listening subscribed, right? I don't need to waste my breath telling people to subscribe, do I?
I don't.
Like
Well,
no
Tell
one's,
your friends to
you just did.
subscribe.
You know there's a subscribe option. You said
Yeah.
the word subscribe.
I know, but I can't imagine. I mean,
Tell a friend.
no
about
one's
it.
just like searching weekly, being like, "Oh,
Yeah, it could be somebody with the first time, but I think it's pretty much
unless we ruined it
you
again.
kind of know if you're listening to a podcast and you like it, you're gonna subscribe. So I don't think it really needs to have to be
Yeah.
mentioned.
But those 5-star reviews are helpful with a couple little comments. That'd be great. And if you take the time to go there and do that, I'd take a couple minutes and read through them.
I think we should.
some funny ones on there.
Should we do a 2018 group photo?
Yeah,
Did
maybe.
we just do it?
We
Just
just
do it.
did.
We just did.
Well, what we're gonna
Drew's
do
got a
right
crazy
now.
Face looking.
So yeah, please, anybody that hasn't yet, and thanks so much to everybody that has. We need those to keep climbing the ladder on the. If you want
One
us
more.
to
My
be
flash
able to
threw it off.
call out the companies with bad customer service,
Lean in a little more, Drew. Come on. Killing me, buddy.
we're doing
right.
selfies here apparently while we're finishing this
I just
up.
like my buddies. All right.
Follow.
Subscribe to all the social media.
Yeah, YouTube,
Facebook, Instagram. It's all Deer Hunter Podcast.
Deer Hunter _podcast.
Mailing list? Website mailing list?
Yeah, website mailing list. A lot of people signed up on the website, which is cool. We're gonna get. I know you got one.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get one together. We're starting a page to put recipes on the website.
Oh.
We have a couple coffee recipes and then a couple venison recipes.
Any type of wild game or fish or anything
Yeah.
recipes?
Sure,
That'd be awesome.
certainly.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
Easy stuff too. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like some crazy. We'll have those too, but like first, like camper stew. You ever have camper stew?
Yeah.
God, that's a delicious meal.
is good.
Nobody even knows about
I
that.
got a
never
good
even heard of that.
perchy recipe that I just did the other day. Throw up on there too.
Since
Got
it's
one.
January, we could start like a Men of Deer Hunter podcast calendar.
Hey,
or
you know what's
something.
coming up pretty soon, and you know what's going to be fun? We're always stuck doing these late at night after work, having to work the next day, and it's like exhausting, and we got to get out of here, right?
Daytime podcast?
The meat grinding party's going to be coming up
yeah.
here pretty soon. And what we'll have to do, we'll have to get together here in the morning. Maybe we'll even go
Grind
out
some
fishing
meat.
or something.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back here, get a good hot fire going and a pot of coffee, and we might even have an ounce of energy. and do a podcast, and
Oof.
then
That'd
we'll
be a good
maybe get into like a bottle of whiskey or something, you know?
I'd love to do an early
I know.
afternoon
We're due.
podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm
sometime.
always just.
Let's
I literally worked like 14 hours today. Went to the gym before work at 4 a.m. I'm just like,
It's rough. It is
Sleepy
rough.
eye.
It
These-
is.
People
let's
don't
definitely
appreciate
do a
it.
morning one time.
it would
That'd
be awesome.
Not
Morning,
morning.
is my time. man.
I'm a morning dude.
All right, well, let's
Late
try
morning.
to do it here.
Late morning.
Late morning.
Like 7.
That's late for sure.
You animals.
Well, right now, we're going to draw out of a hat, a meat eater hat, actually, if the camera battery hadn't died, which we're getting a new camera this week for the studio.
Oh, nice.
Yep, we're getting a camera with a, what do you call that microphone? I don't know.
A big fuzzy one?
Yeah,
I don't know.
big fuzzy one.
Big
Perfect.
fuzzy one?
Yeah,
With
yeah,
a-
we'll be able to film hunts
a
next
sheep's
year.
wool?
And
Awesome.
Should
That's
we-
really cool. So legit, like
Yeah.
what do they call them? DSLR?
no, we're not getting a DSLR,
No,
just a
it's
video
Just a Sony
recorder.
hand cam with a
Magnavox.
external mic on
external
Nice.
mic, tripod, the whole deal.
Cool.
it. It's
I
got Chris Brackett hair covering the microphone.
Oh, nice. Nice. It should cover your poaching quite well.
The packaging printed with Chris Brackett's older hunting licenses
I made a deal with Dan.
they didn't have.
When we go to the scouting thing, I'm going to film the scouting workshop for Dan.
Sweet.
Yep.
Use that camera and maybe some GoPro footage in between? or
Yeah,
something?
if you guys want
I'll
to
wear
bring
my GoPro.
GoPros and everything, I'm going.
Put it on my
Get the
I
melon.
know
head.
you're going.
Yeah.
I think you're planning. You guys are both planning on going.
Yeah.
I already
planning
told
on
the wife I put it on the calendar. So
yeah. So,
I would
gotta
throw
go.
a fit.
Oh,
I
real
would
quick
just throw a
before we
fit
do
if I
this.
couldn't go.
the muzzle loader, we talked about it today.
Yeah.
The number of guys that we have on board right now, were you here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is $40 a guy acceptable? Would that be something guys would be willing to do? I know a dozen of you messaged in. You're probably
I'd do
going to
it.
listen to this.
I'd do it.
If more guys are interested, that cost would go down.
Right.
But we have around 12 guys right now, and we found a gun package, TC, what is it?
Impact.
Impact.
Yep.
Me and him, I think you want to maybe take a trip to Williams and see if we could find. Do you think we could find a used gun? And
I looked on their inventory and they do not.
It
have
changes
any.
all the time, though.
Really?
You can
Yeah.
call them,
okay.
ask them.
That TC Impact, that was seemed
you
like a
looked at-
pretty legit, basic, nice package. No frills.
Check out
How-
Gun
How
Broker,
nice
too.
was the package?
Nice.
Michigan Gun Owners.
Knocked my hat off.
.com and Gun Broker is a
Got
great
so
site to look
close.
at.
Yeah. But
So that's that. And what I want to do is just maybe get a case and then put everybody's name on. I want Dan to know everybody that had
And
Picture
carve it on the
that.
gun.
Yeah.
Carved it in the stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spray paint
With
the
the
thing.
Buck 110 knife.
With a deer hoof.
That was a cool idea, I think.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet the guy.
Today is Dan's birthday as we're recording this.
Get out.
so,
Son of
Can
a
we
bitch.
sing happy birthday?
yeah.
Dan
Happy
right now?
birthday.
to Dan.
So we're gonna draw the winner. We're going February 17th, and there's like 10 of us or 12 of us going.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's gonna be fun as hell.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
going to be an
We're gonna
awesome
go.
trip.
We're gonna leave Friday after work.
Yep.
We're gonna convoy over, crash in a
God, We're
hotel.
going to need
taking
a
the-
lot of convoy.
We're taking the Badger across.
I wish we had a big old toaster to drive there or something. Winnebago.
I don't even know what either one of you were talking about.
SS
Badger,
Let's just
toaster?
draw this name
Just-
out of this.
Drew Sleepy.
I know.
SS Badger, the ship that goes across Lake Michigan from Ludington to.
Who wants to draw it?
Nick can. He looks excited.
Do it. Put your filthy little paws in
All
there.
All right.
You little
Eyes are,
roadkill picker, you.
eyes are shut. Oh, the deer's been so good. We just cut up the heart and cooked
This
it up.
person better be fun to hang
All
out with.
right.
You got a heart recipe?
Oh, fuck yeah. It was delicious.
You got
that way
3.
too many.
I have
You
3.
suck at the name.
All right, I'm
pulling.
dropping them back down.
Wiggle your fingers.
All right. Hand is out of the hat.
Those big old potato fingers.
Going back in.
Maybe just some more petite hands in there.
I think you got one.
All right, I have one.
You got one.
One.
Okay, that's it.
All right,
There's a
so
name on it.
Open my eyes. read all the information?
No,
Just
you
the
don't need to
name.
announce their email.
Jeff Lipple. Jeff Lipple. Lipple.
Jeff?
And his email, if anybody's interested in emailing
Social
him,
security number.
congratulate this fellow.
All right, Jeff.
That's a prize.
Get a hold of us, or we'll get a hold of you, and you are welcome to invite a friend, preferably an attractive female. No, anybody that you want. Anybody that's a diehard deer hunter that would enjoy it. But if you guys want to go with us to the Dan Infalt Scouting Workshop the weekend of February 17th, we're leaving Friday after work. We're convoying over. We're going to all split hotel rooms. So if you don't mind sleeping with a couple random dudes in a hotel room, I mean,
Hey.
now it's a party.
I'm a fan of the double.
77. Yeah.
Yeah, you might get turned on to the local 77 before everybody else.
We might welcome in our local. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with pushing two doubles together.
And then we're going to get up Saturday morning. We're going to meet at Dan's house. When it gets a little closer, we'll cover what
Dippy
everybody
eggs?
needs. Dippy eggs.
They won't be as good wherever we go.
Maybe some.
Everybody that's going, Dan is sending me a map of the areas that we're going to go scout, and he asked if I would distribute it to everybody, and he wants everybody to go through the map and
pick their spots that they think.
draw out on the map
That's
what they
awesome.
think, where, what,
great
and
idea.
Good
why.
discussion.
And then we're going to go cover a big piece of public that Dan's killed a couple giant bucks off of and break the whole thing down. And he says there's no time that we're going to stop. He said no question goes unanswered. We're going to be out in the field, and then we're going to go back to Dan's house, and he's going to have a meal for everybody, and we're all going to
Get
sit
out.
there and have beers. And
Oh yeah.
There's
it's
no
gonna be
test,
badass.
right?
I
It's not
suck
a
at
test.
tests.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Awesome.
Yep.
Congrats,
Mr.
Jeff
Lipple.
Lipple.
all right, Jeff.
Yeah.
Pack your bags, goddammit.
Jeff, if you can't go, just get a hold of us. And
Should
let
we
us
say those
know.
names? to
And then
do another repeat job?
we'll keep these other
Here,
names.
I want to
in the
pick a
hat.
name just so
No.
somebody can know. You were this close to winning. Let me just pick the name.
No, we'll keep
heartbreaking,
them in
man.
here because we might need these.
All right.
You know, people do have
Yeah.
Plans.
he could be
Standing up in a wedding or get married.
or be going to Jamaica for a week for vacation, or who knows.
Right.
I
cancel
think I'd
that
cancel a
shit.
Jamaica trip for that. No, I don't know about that, but yeah, I think I might.
All right, are we done? I covered my list. The giveaway, the muzzleloader. Sorry about the recent audio problems. We'll try to get them addressed.
Yep. Sorry about my CVA.
Thanks for
rants,
hanging
not
in there,
really.
though.
Glad Chris Brackett's show got canceled.
What else?
GPS site and the Hawk Cam. We covered all of it.
So I want to check out this Hawk Cam.
Awesome,
Can
awesome.
I find anything?
We're going to
online
try
or-
to do a job of getting more product in here this year and doing some honest reviews on this stuff. So
Nice.
there's not a whole lot of those. It's not a whole lot of places that you can go find that good, honest stuff, So.
No, what'd you get?
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you got your freeze worth, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.